And he was pressed on it, and Trump is just sitting there looking like shit. I don't even know. Well, first of all, he's too stupid to even know what the hell happened. But now Elon is stating and saying that for some reason, well, we're not going to bat 1,000. We're going to get things wrong. They're not providing any the conversation of transparency. And I found the audio that I want to play because I think this is the important part, because this speaks to his arrogance. This is a bit long, but I think it's worth listening to.
Detractors, Mr. Musk.
What?
Including a lot of Democrats.
I have detractors?
You do, sir.
I don't believe it.
Say that you're orchestrating a hostile takeover of government and doing it in a non-transparent way. What's your response to that criticism?
Well, first of all, you couldn't ask for a stronger mandate from the public.
Wrong.
The public voted. We have a majority of the public voting for President Trump.
Incorrect.
We won the House. We won the Senate.
Lost seats in the House.
The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, people that don't get what they voted for, but in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And
Which is
that's what democracy is all about.
Really?
Mr. Musk, the White House says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are, in effect, policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact, our actions, we post our actions to the Doge handle on X,
Right.
And to the Doge website.
Right.
So all of our actions are maximally transparent. In fact, I don't think there's been, I don't know of a case where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization.
Wow.
So, and the kind of things we're doing are, I think, very, very simple and basic. They're not, what I mentioned, for example, about Treasury, just making sure that payments that go out, taxpayer money that goes out, is categorized correctly, that the payment is explained, that organizations on the do not pay list, which takes a lot to get there, that actually are not paid, which currently they are paid. These are not individual judgment decisions. These are about simply having sensible
Not the
checks and
question
balances
that was
in
asked.
the system itself to ensure that taxpayer money is spent well. So it's got nothing to do with, like, say, a contract for some company of mine at all.
But if there is a conflict of interest when it comes to you yourself, for instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts. When it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president, I know, has directed you to look into.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that? Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, all of our actions are fully public. So if you see anything, you say, like, wait a second, hey, that seems like maybe that's, there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say it immediately,
Including you yourself.
Yes. But transparency is what builds trust, not simply somebody asserting trust. So not somebody saying they're trustworthy, but transparency, so you can see everything that's going on. And then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies or not? It's totally obvious.
Right.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that
Really?
segment or look in that area if we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict.
Well, that was nice. So the question, I'm sure you heard it. The question was asked, what if you, first of all, they're not being transparent at all. There is absolutely no receipts. None. There were no receipts connected to anything that they have found, just claims they are making, including the claim about condoms to Gaza, which he was just dunked on and literally couldn't even respond to that. I might get some things wrong. Can't bat 1,000. There is absolutely no transparency. He does get billions, tens of billions of dollars in subsidies from the federal government, including from the DOD in particular, for SpaceX and others, right? And when asked, what if you find conflict of interest? Oh, don't worry. If somebody sees something, they just say, hey, Elon, we found something. The fleecing of America by an unelected bureaucrat who claims to be leery and that we should be on the lookout for unelected bureaucrats. That was disturbing to listen to some of that, right? In the Oval Office, next to the Resolute desk, an unelected bureaucrat lying to, exactly, gaslighting is wild, lying to the American public again. And there are people in this world, in this country, who thinks he's doing everything above board. It's friggin' disgusting. I don't know how else to describe it other than that. We've got more to cover off on today. Good morning, Throwaway. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Facts?
I'm fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I have never seen an administration so willing to cut its nose to spite its face regarding the allegations coming out from the audit. And I say that because
What audit?
we could put some quotation marks on it. And I'll preface this by saying that I voted for Trump for an audit. I just didn't vote for the spin that they're putting on it, because the things that they're griping about are all it really takes to defend it is to say LGBTQ people paid taxes, therefore some of their social interests are represented in the allocations of funds in any number of government projects. I just wish somebody would stand up and say that.
I don't understand what you just said.
What I mean to say is that LGBTQIA people need to see their tax money show returns for things of their interest.
Why do you specify that group? How just Americans?
They are, and what I mean to say is they are Americans. But I see so many conservatives, because I'm in the deep South.
Hold on a second. Why are you talking about this? Is American taxpayers? I don't understand the relevance of why you brought up that community.
Oh, I bring up that community because so many people are up in arms whenever they see something about a comic book for trans people in Peru, or they see,
which was another lie, right?
Yes, or they see $5.5 million allocated for LGBTQIA representation in Uganda.
We know that those are lies as well, right?
Well, not so much for the Uganda one, but I mean, Uganda is one of 30 African nations where homosexuality is illegal, and they did pass a law a couple of years ago.
I really don't understand your point. So you voted for Trump, okay? You voted for Trump.
Yes.
So you voted for him. Do you regret your vote?
I'm starting to regret my vote. Just the way this is turning out. What I'm saying is that I don't understand why people are so angry whenever they see something that supports the LGBTQIA community.
It's T.
In allocations of government funds. They pay taxes.
It's because the party that you align with are bigots, transphobes, homophobes, racists, misogynists, etc. That's why
exactly.
they're upset.
So they're willing to cut off food and medicine because they're mad that the trans communities got some allocation of funds. Trans people pay taxes. Why is anybody mad that some of their money is being represented in USAID allocations? It doesn't make any sense. You should expect to see that.
Okay, yeah, but you voted for this. I mean,
I did vote for that.
You had to know this was coming.
We've
been telling you for years that this was coming. We told you that. You know, we showed you the examples. We talked about. Were you one of the people that didn't believe Project 2025 was the plan?
I was all I wanted was a government audit to show accountability and to show that people weren't siphoning funds.
That's not the question I asked you. The question I asked you is, were you one of those people who believed that Project 2025 was not the plan?
I think Project 2025 was always the plan. I think that a lot of people on the conservative side were.
But you didn't like it, and you voted for it anyway.
I don't think anybody thought that it was possible to come to fruition.
Well, that's not true, my guy. I've talked to people all the time, and we had people saying that Trump said on the campaign trail that it wasn't Project 2025, that he had nothing to do with it. We know that he lied. We know that he lied about it all the time. I mean, you can look at his executive orders, man, and they line up with Project 2025 exactly, like to the letter.
Yeah, and you were telling no lies right now.
I know I'm telling no lies, but you voted for that. You voted for that. And because you wanted a government audit?
Because I wanted a government audit with some accountability for spending. Yep.
Are we getting a government audit now?
We're getting an audit in quotation marks.
Are we though?
I don't know.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. I want you to be sincere. I want you to answer objectively, and I want you to be sincere. Okay?
Yes, I'm being nothing but sincere right now.
So Kamala Harris wins the election, and she asks George Soros to go and do exactly what Doge is doing right now. Would you consider that an audit?
If he was doing the audit like Elon Musk is doing, where the records are, even the results are supposed to be sealed for years, no, I would not like that at all. I don't like what's going on right now.
Okay. But you voted for this. You voted to bring harm onto communities in our country. You voted for lies, dishonesty, rhetoric, anti-constitution, terminating the rules and regulations. That's what you voted for.
Yep.
How did you miss that? Did you just not want to believe it?
I think I wanted some government accountability, and apparently I'm paying the price for that, and so is everybody else right now. So I'm sorry, man.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I mean, I guess the question now is, like, what are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna stand up? Are you gonna contact your Republican elected officials and let them know?
Yeah, I've already contacted my local representative as far as this goes, and I just asked him the same question, like, especially considering my area in Georgia, about why in the world they're letting people starve, they're letting people not get medicine with this freeze just because they don't like what amounts to less than 1% of USAID's budget go to social intervention in some countries. And like you said, these are unsubstantiated claims.
Right,
and I haven't heard anything from the office yet.
Right. Do you know what the majority of USAID spending abroad goes towards? Do you know what they do?
Yeah. Actually, I work for a company whose main customer is USAID, and we are still shipping. Our stop work order was rescinded through the Department of State, but it's not like that for everybody. There's people that are still out of work right now because of the freeze, so it's crazy.
Well, do you know that it's humanitarian aid for the most part? Do you know why we send money and aid to countries in Africa, for example? Do you know why we do it? So
soft diplomacy.
Well, it's not even that. It's for global public health. I mean, you spend money in areas like Tanzania who deal with hemorrhagic fever, and you invest in those communities so the fever doesn't spread beyond its borders. That's why you do it. Now, I don't think there's anybody who's objective that wouldn't agree that we need to try to figure out a way to reduce spending. I don't think that's unreasonable to ask. But think about the first list of executive orders that he wanted to introduce. Wanted to stop funding for Head Start programs. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with that.
Canceling school lunches and breakfasts, it's primarily in marginalized communities. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with it, but I'm not shocked. He's not wanting to feed refugees in Africa. Like 2 years ago, I visited.
You voted for that.
Yeah,
voted for that. We told you it was going to happen. And you voted for it.
Yep. 2 years ago, I visited Uganda, Chad, and Ethiopia, and visited the camps there. And one of the biggest misconceptions that people have about the aid that goes abroad in Africa is that people are living in an area that will not sustain them. But it's like 99% of the people that we feed with the product that we produce are refugees from Somalia, Democratic Republic of Congo, where ethnic cleansing and genocide's going on because of regime change that we probably did, to be honest with you.
Probably, I'm sure listen, our hands are not clean with this kind of stuff, but you had to know that this was coming. You had to know.
I can't say that y'all didn't say anything, but I just wanted to call and just share with you that I think that it's insane that anybody's willing to do this harm because of what amounts to less than 1% of the budget being quote unquote misallocated, when really it's just going to something that they fundamentally don't agree with, but does represent the interests of I would say half of the country, you know? So
Yeah, I mean,
this has been a huge eye-opening experience for me. So
Good.
I just wanted to call and share that with you and
I
just say I'm
appreciate
sorry.
that, man. I mean, I think obviously, reflection is great. I guess the next step, though, is if you ever spend time in TikTok spaces, go into conservative spaces, people who also voted for Trump, and tell them what you just told us. Tell them.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's too late now that it's already happened. But I mean, what are you going to do in advance of the midterms? I'm not asking you to suddenly become a Democrat, but I am asking you to kind of evaluate what you just went through and say, my vote. You have to own this personally, and I think you are. Your vote is causing harm on American citizens.
Well, I did start this morning. I called a local radio station, local conservative talk show station, and talked to them and said the same thing I told you, that I feel like they're mad about funds that they don't agree with, but that half the population in the U.S. does. It's their money too. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, it's not half the population. It's the less than the majority of the voting registered votes. Let's be clear with that. So.
Yeah. So it didn't go over well on a conservative radio station. I'll just put it that way.
Well,
but
good.
I'm putting idea out there. But I'm hoping that there were some people that would look at it that way.
I hope so too. I hope there's more of you. I really do. I really want to encourage you to come back. And I really want to encourage you to try to. I mean. Forgiveness is basically at this point. I would encourage you to not just be talking about it here, though, but to continue to call your representatives, to continue to remind people that this was a mistake that you made, that you were wrong, whether it be for whatever reasons, right? But you're now here, and I appreciate your honesty and sincerity. But there's a lot of people now that are going to suffer, right, because of your vote and the vote of other 77 million other Americans. And I am asking you to do more. I'm asking you to go to right-wing spaces, to call into more conservative radio stations, to do whatever you can to remind people that you were lied to, you were duped, and all for some stupid bullshit. But I appreciate your honesty, man. I really do.
Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. I contacted my local representative, Austin Scott's office, and I will let you know if I get a response from them. I'll be back.
I appreciate you. Throwaway. I just followed you. Please come back, okay, man?
Yes, sir.
Have a good day.
You too.
Crazy. Good luck, man. I appreciate you stepping in today. Hey, Zach, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Not much. I don't know if you're just taking opposition, but
I don't. I generally don't. We're just here to educate and inform. But is there something on your mind?
yeah. Well, I appreciate that guy calling in at first, admitting he made a mistake.
Me too.
Sometimes I watch these lives and it's so frustrating because I generally vote. Well, I feel like the most important thing to vote for is character. And Donald Trump is such bad character. And I just don't see how people see past that when his policies are just as bad too. So,
Well,
listening to somebody,
it's connected to a lot of other things, racism, bigotry, transphobia, it's Christian nationalism, it's all those things all wrapped up, and Trump just happens to be the conduit for people who believe in those things to get their way.
yeah, I pay attention to politics and I'm involved a little bit, but when the election was going on, and they switched to Kamala Harris, I felt like so much like positive energy that and thought we were going to win, and it was so disappointing to hear like how like racist and misogynistic, how many of those types of people there were in this country.
Yeah.
And it was just like it was just really it was so disappointing to hear that. And so I'm glad to hear somebody like regret their vote.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're starting to see it a little bit more here and there. I guess the question is, and this is what I'm going to ask everyone who does start to regret their vote. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? Are you going to get outside of your comfort zone? Are you going to challenge other people? Are you gonna volunteer for a cause to help defend the people that you voted against? Things like that, because it's again, silence is compliance. If you're not going to do anything, then just your own come to Jesus moment, for example, is not going to be enough.
Yeah, and I believe in like working hard and being able to provide for yourself and your family. When that's the only thing you think about, and you don't think about the other people in America, because America is for everybody.
That's right.
And
that's the
I
point.
see with Donald Trump's presidency and with COVID, and how the gap between the rich and the poor is getting bigger and bigger. Voting for him again is just going to increase the gap of inequality.
You're right. I mean, that's exactly what we're trying to fight back against. But I appreciate you jumping in today, Zach.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, man.
No problem.
Have a good day. All right.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
I know that there's a lot of people that are, sort of in the chat questioning it. All we can do is, if somebody is willing to come out publicly and admit that they made a mistake, is try to navigate through it and try to remind people that, sure, our spider senses are going off, because that's kind of where we are now. Especially when it's not like this is a surprise. I mean, we've all known all along this was coming, right? And we've been telling people, and it's even worse than we thought. When you're literally talking about just doing away with the Constitution, who cares about the separation of powers? Who cares about separation of church and state? Who cares about any of that stuff? Who cares about birthright citizenship? Who cares about freedom of speech, freedom of the press, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Well, this is what we told you was going to happen. So you got to live in it. You got to sit in your own shit, as they say. So we'll see. We will see. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. We're at 100,000. Let's see if we can get to 150,000 here in the next 10 minutes. I appreciate y'all. Kelly, are you there? I guess not. You can request again if you want, Kelly. Happy to bring you back up. Hey, Paul,
Hello
how are you
there.
today?
I'm doing well. I just wanted to give you a little bit of perspective from a UK point of view, because I've been watching your live for quite a while, and I think it's a symptom that's happening all over the world. We're not unique to it. We're seeing what's happening in America, and it's happening here as well. We've got the rise of Reform and Nigel Farage, which you may have heard of.
I have.
And it seems to be that the seeming oligarchy that you seem to have now in America is spreading everywhere. You've got Musk, you've got Bezos, you've got Zuckerberg, And I think it's a symptom of a wider issue. And we are terrified in the rest of the world because we look to America as this bastion of great freedom and the way that we're supposed to behave as a society. And it's like it's terrifying, my friend. It really is.
Yeah, the cause and effect thing. I think we've noticed that, and we've talked about this before, Paul, about parties that were the incumbencies during COVID.
Yes.
A lot of people, a lot of citizens around the world for countries blamed inflation spikes on the parties that were in charge. And we know what many of the causes were, right? So the referendum from voters was say, we need something different. And that's when historically you see authoritarian governments kind of step in, fill the void, so to speak, right? So that's why we see it. And then you look at, Elon, what Elon's doing here, him aligning with the AfD party in
Yes.
Germany, cozying up to other autocrats around the world. This is kind of to what you're talking about. This is not, it's not unique, meaning that we've
Yes.
gone through this before.
I
Back,
mean,
I think of 1930s Germany, frankly.
absolutely. I mean, we have a similar problem because at the minute we have a centrist or a center left government in power. Our Tories were kicked out at the last election, but our centrist party is not seeing the problems. So
The
you've
Labor
got,
Party? You mean the Labor
yeah, the
Party?
Labour Party. The Labour Party is basically the equivalent to your Democrats, right? They're very in bed with business, and they're in bed with corporate things like that. So you've got reform that are like seeing all the
Well,
problems.
let's back up for just a
Okay.
second because we have to look at the oligarchs that are coming from the billionaire class. I mean, I
Absolutely.
don't entirely disagree. I would say that thank you, Erica. The Lib Dems are more centrist. I would say that the right is the one that are cozying up to the oligarchs in the business class or into the
Yeah.
corporate class. Not to say that status quo Democrats, conservative Democrats, are
Yeah.
also not taking corporate money. But I want to make sure we're talking, we're not talking past each other on this topic. Case in
Absolutely.
point, when you have billionaires in cabinet positions in our government, that
Yes.
is not happened before. That was
The
not.
only
You've never seen that under a Democratic president.
the only reason I mentioned that the Labour Party in the UK is slightly more centre at the moment is because a gentleman there mentioned the Lib Dems. As a disabled person, the Lib Dems at the last election, they were actually the ones saying that they would fund social care, they would do all the things that a centre left government is supposed to do. So it is a wider symptom, and my worry is that at the next election, because people are so disaffected with our government, that the far right in this country will take suit from Trump, and that's you see the connections between all the far right parties, as you say, with Musk and with everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, we know that wealth, the wealth gap, it just continues to globally continues to get wider and wider. Within the next 3 years, we're going to have 5 trillionaires.
Yeah,
But yeah, I appreciate your perspective on things. I think,
yeah.
obviously the world is watching.
I appreciate you letting me come up. It's lovely to talk to you. Take
Thank you,
care.
Paul. You have a
All
good
right.
day, friend.
Bye
Be
now.
safe out there. All right, bye. I get what he's saying. I think the I I don't like conservatives. Okay, I think conservatives are fascists, right? It's not. I don't look at it from a Democratic Republican perspective. I look at conservatives. I think perfect example, right? And I think I heard Matt talking about this yesterday. Like people like Joe Manchin, right? People like Kirsten Sinema, although she's an independent now. People like that, I think, are fascists because I think they will suppress the voice of the people at every chance that they can get, and they'll prioritize the things that fit in that line up with their corporate interests. So it's conservatives that I can't stand. It's conservatives that I think are fascists. And well, although Donald Trump is a full blown fascist. So John Fetterman, exactly another example. Sadly, it's a great example. Another example. So I think people get hung up on the D or the R label or the I label. It's conservatives. They're the ones that want to hold on to things. They're the ones that want to go back in time, make America great again. We've got those historical examples, right? And the reality is that the Republican Party has glommed onto that particular movement. So that's why the Republicans are considered fascist. Now, it's not to say that there aren't Democrats that have the same fascistic views, but you look at Donald Trump and the leadership in today's Republican Party, and they check every single box. That's why we refer to them as fascists and Yahtzees, quite frankly. That's why. We can talk about that more this morning. Everybody, please keep tapping. I really appreciate y'all very much. Good morning, Marcus. How are you today? Marcus, are you there? Marcus, are you there, friend? You can request again if you want to come back up and talk. Happy to speak to you. White and nerdy. How are you today?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. What's on your mind today?
Hey, I was listening to you the other day talking about things that we can do,
Yeah.
and my wife and I, we are a blue molecule in a 55-gallon drum of red paint in Ohio, and we own a small business, and she's big on protecting our business, and I understand that. I mean, to the point where she won't let me wear my Black Lives Matter shirt, and because we got to think about our business, and I understand that, but you know, I just
We mean she won't let you. What do you mean?
well, she said, you don't wear that shirt because there's a lot of Trump supporters around here, and we got to
looking out
protect
for
the
your
business.
safety. Looking out for your
Correct.
safety. Okay, I
Correct.
got you. Okay, sorry.
Correct.
Okay, got you. All right.
And we belong to a local Democrats group with about a 50-mile radius, and there's like 12 of us in the group, and it just bugs the shit out of me that they're not doing anything. I mean, the board is stale, and I post on there all the time, what are we doing? What are we doing? And it just drives me insane that nobody's doing anything. So I'm trying to figure out what can I do, to kind of push our message.
Sure.
But and my wife is still, you got to think about the business. Don't get him. Be the gray man. I don't want to be the gray man, but at the same time, I gotta be careful what I do. And it just bugs me that nothing is happening, or it
I get
feels
it.
that way.
I get that, friend. And I've said this before, right? I mean, I sit at the pinnacle of privilege in our country, a white cis hetero male in our country. I can go anywhere, I can fit in anywhere, and I want to use that privilege. And fortunately I live in an area where it's a little bit easier for me to do that. Not everybody can, and I respect everyone's own personal decisions when it comes to safety. I still always think there is something that everyone can do, right? So, for
Exactly.
example, there's a cause. You can find the link in the link tree in my bio. It's called National Ground Game. National Ground Game, I'll just read the description. They're a grassroots-powered political action committee that deploys organizers in all 50 states. We strive to spark meaningful conversations that inspire action toward a transformative working-class agenda. We envision a political sphere that champions the interests of working-class Americans in every state. The challenges we face require a united, informed, and engaged public. Deep canvassing can change the conversation from divisive rhetoric to collaborative problem solving. By addressing voters' concerns on a personal level, deep canvassing has the power to mobilize communities, strengthen democracy, and bring about real lasting change. Go to the link that's in the link tree in my bio, fill out your information, and they're just looking for volunteers. The idea behind this is that they want to line up skill sets with gaps. So for example, I know you may not feel safe in public, but you could phone bank.
Sure.
Things
Sure.
like that. Things like that. So, or if you have the ability and you have the means, you can hop in your car and you can go to a district around you and you can door knock, or you can, you can hand out flyers, things like that. So
Yeah,
those are the
and
kinds of things that we can all do.
I was on this big crusade here a while back because one of my daughters is autistic, and we were trying to find her a job. And in Ohio, I don't know if this is the case anywhere else, but it is legal to pay someone less than minimum wage if they have a disability. And I thought that is just the most horrible thing. So,
Say that again. It's legal?
correct.
Really? It's
Yes,
legal to pay somebody less than minimum wage if they have a disability?
correct. Yes,
I I think we're gonna have to look into that because I don't know if that's legal.
it is. It is.
Really?
I've got the number of the legislation or whatever it is.
I'm not accusing of anything. I'm stunned by that. I shouldn't be surprised.
You know, I was too when I first found out. I didn't know about it until we was trying to find her a job, and then I found out about that, and I was just like, this can't be right, and it is. So what I did, I was trying to call the people in Columbus, the legislators and whatnot, and I was not getting a return call. So being nerdy, I set up one of my servers to send every representative in the state an email every hour on the hour. And finally I got a call. So it just, but still, it's still like that.
It's crazy.
Let me look here.
I believe you. I'm just, and I'm seeing. Now that I think about it, I can. Yeah, it is it's just disturbing. Again, like we talked about yesterday, guys. Like we talk about every single day. Follow the money, right?
Oh, yeah,
Any
absolutely.
any excuse that corporations across the country can figure out a way to pay their employees less, to mistreat them even more. That's kind of where we're at.
You know, and being a small business owner, you know, we don't have any employees, and because we can't afford it. But if we ever do, you know, I think paying someone minimum wage means I would pay you less if I could. That's
I
what
think
that
you're
means.
exactly. I think that's the mindset. And remember, we talk about this often. The historical relevance of the minimum wage. It was established post Depression. During the Depression, the government created a model of a minimum wage to keep a family in their home, a minimum wage to allow a
Right.
family to feed themselves, a minimum wage so a family could pay their electric bill or their gas bill. That's what it was. So when you had unemployment rates of 15, 20, 25%, all walks of life, people from all walks of life were unemployed. So that was the reason the minimum wage was established. It was society helping out everyone, no matter who was involved. And it's become this weapon that the right likes to use. And the justification and the rhetoric and the lie that they tell you is that if they raise the minimum wage, well, prices will go up. No, that's just a fucking lie. It's an
Oh, I
absolute
know.
lie.
I know. I
Yeah.
know.
So that's, again, history is important.
Yep. Absolutely.
Nerdy, I
Well,
appreciate you jumping in, buddy. As always, good to
thanks.
talk to you again. I'll see
You
you later.
too.
All right, bye.
Bye.
That is just disturbing. Now that he says it, I think you're right. It's just, it's crazy. Oh my gosh. We have a lot of things to cover off on today, guys. But everybody, your participation is always welcome and appreciated. Hi, Linda. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me up.
My pleasure.
Sorry, I wasn't expecting to get up so quickly.
It's all good. What's on your mind?
I've been seeing a lot of TikToks of people saying that the American TikToks are already being censored and that you don't know exactly what's been going on in Canada. So Justin Trudeau has said he's taking Trump's threats very seriously about annexing Canada. Canadians are boycotting all American products. We're not buying American when we go to the store at all. And Canadians have been canceling their trips to the US. They have said they've estimated that if 10% of Canadians stop travel to the US, it'll bring the tourism economy to its knees.
Yep.
And they believe that it's much higher than that, than 10%. People are have canceled their trips. People who are going to the States on trips have been harassed at the airport. especially if they're people of color. They've been taken into the back to be questioned and asked, how long have they been in Canada? And they've said, oh, I've been born in Canada. I have a Canadian passport. And they've been made to wait while they go through their phones. So we've been told to prepare for either an economic war or boots on the ground, but we've been told to prepare because of his threats.
Yeah, I mean
So
now a tariff on lumber and steel and aluminum. We know the impacts that it had the last time.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah, and his insistence that he subsidized Canada is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It's just not true.
We sell oil at a reduced price to America. And so now Trudeau's over in Europe, getting a free trade deals with Europeans. He's already brokered a deal with China to sell oil. So, I mean, we do not have to sell our oil to the U.S., especially not at a lower price.
Yeah, well, you sell it globally, but I get your point. Yep.
Yeah, so we sell our crude oil at a reduced price, and then you turn it into gas and
Correct.
make money on that gas.
Correct.
So
Yep.
it's not a subsidy. I mean,
Yeah, I know
America's
it's a
not
trade. I mean, it's a trade
subsidizing us.
agreement. We're trade
Yeah,
partners.
it's a trade
That's the whole
agreement.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's broke our trade agreement that
Sure.
we had.
Multiple times. It's a violation of federal law when it's a treaty, and you violate
Yeah,
federal law
we
when
have-
you impose sanctions that are not written into law.
Right, exactly. So
Yep.
I know like all the liquor stores pulled all the American liquor.
They did. Yeah.
And I know like when I went to the grocery store on Friday, people were helping me to read the labels to find out what products were American and what products were not American.
I know.
And they were all standing in the aisle. Everybody was reading the labels because we're boycotting the US of all, and all the American goods had 50% off tags on them.
Yeah, they're trying to clear it out.
Because they're trying to clear it out.
I know that. Linda, I
so-
appreciate you jumping in today to bring us that update. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you.
I just want to let you know because
Thank you.
I've been hearing that this information is not getting to the United States.
Yeah, we hear it in drips and drabs, but thank you again for jumping in today. I appreciate you, Linda.
Okay, you're
Have a good day.
welcome.
All right,
Bye.
take care. Bye-bye. Okay. We've talked oftentimes about how so many people want to just say, well, that won't happen because it's against the law. Everybody, this is a little advice. The current administration is violating the law at every turn by getting sensitive information about American taxpayers, by breaking treaties, by stopping congressionally appropriated funding. They are breaking the law at every turn. So stop thinking that way. Stop thinking something can't happen. Stop thinking that the United States military won't be rolling down Main Street. Stop thinking that way, because all bets are off. Hey, Fish, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, good. Going back to that Elon Musk Trump thing yesterday, that was probably the most disturbing thing I've seen yet.
Crazy.
It's making me not uncomfortable, but like terrified and like my stomach upset. I was sitting here trying to put together some kind of content to just point it out, but I feel like no one needs to. It doesn't need to be pointed out, and the people that I'm trying to point it out to, the MAGA people, it's not worth it. So, but it's just what I'm so confused. Like in front of us, we watched that in front of us. Elon Musk tell us about democracy and then just lie to us, and it just gaslight us the whole time. It was just a gaslighting session. But Trump's like, well, yeah, we found this and that, and guys taking contracts and getting paid for 30 years, and they didn't show us one thing.
I mean, they cite the Doge website. There's no information there. when we done our own fact checking, because I have an amazing team that kind of broke this entire thing down. We literally looked at every claim specifically as it relates to USAID, and the only source is like a Daily Mail article or something that was published to the Doge X account or the Doge website. There is no transparency. There is no accountability. It is theft. It is violation of federal law. It is the end of democracy. And this is where we are. I'm going to give you some historical examples as to what happened in 1930s Germany in their constitution, because it will ring a bell.
Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, no, I just this is the reality of what we are living now. When we have the worst part about it, the biggest gaslight to me. Well, there's two. One, when he said that we are transparent, and when the reporter said, "Well, what if you uncover conflict of interest when it comes to you because you get tens of billions of dollars from government subsidies? What if you uncover a conflict of interest?" Well, I'm sure people will let me know of that. No, the answer is I will recuse myself. I will not be connected to that in any way. But he did not say that. He did not say that. He said people will call me out on that. Well, maybe you should have thought about that from the very beginning. And again, the question is, now you're starting to see some cracks. You're starting to see pushback from the constitutionalists in Congress that say, we believe in Article 1. We believe in the separation of powers. And what he is doing is violating the fundamental principles of our democracy, which is, again, the separation of powers. The question is, what are they going to do about it? What are they going to do?
And just, keep in mind the press is worth nothing. We know that. We know the press. That's why we need to lean on people like you and lean on people like the Midas Touch and Felice and everyone else, because, you go after it and you look at, unfortunately, I went and looked at CNN and MSNBC to see what they had to say, and they just kind of, just say, here's what happened, and it's messed up, and then move on to something else. That was that display should have everybody. I feel like I'm fear mongering, but that was the worst thing I've ever seen so far. So,
Fish, it's not fear mongering, man. It's reality. It's not hyperbolic. I don't give a shit. People can accuse me of this stuff all the time. I mean, the amount of the unaliving threats I get every single day on this app, every single day I get dozens, realistically. And they all say because I'm hyperbolic and I'm spreading fear and I'll show you fear and I'll give you something to be afraid of and things like that. We're just talking about it because our mainstream media won't cover it. Mm-hmm. They don't want to sit there and tell you that there are Nazis in control of our government. They don't want to tell you that. We will.
Just keep action. Keep doing action. Keep doing shit. Like, seriously, don't sit by. We're not sitting by anymore. So
yeah, I agree. Thank you, buddy.
I'm just sick.
I appreciate you.
Have
a good day. See you later. I'm so done with just accepting. You guys, the resistance is everywhere if you know where to look, right? But I hope, again, I really appreciate the kind words, and I really appreciate how people look to us every single day for information, the way we talk about things and the historical connections we make. But if you want to do something to support us, then do something. Stop standing by. And I know everybody's circumstances are different. I know everybody's life circumstances are different, but that doesn't mean you can't do something. It doesn't mean you can't volunteer at a local houseless shelter or a food bank. It doesn't mean that you can. It doesn't mean that you can't phone bank for a candidate. It doesn't mean that you can't volunteer, right, someplace. It doesn't mean that maybe you don't make a purchase from Amazon. Maybe you don't make a purchase, at a large. Maybe you buy local. Maybe you go to farmers markets, things like that. Everybody has got to think differently, right? We talked a while back after Luigi'd, and I asked the question, was that the moment that there was going to be a revolution? Was that it? Was that the time? I thought maybe people will really start to see that it's the oligarch class, it's corporations, it's the predators in lending for student loans, it's the predators in healthcare. As a reminder, they build claim denial into their P&Ls. 15, 20% of their revenue will come from claim denial. They are predators. I thought maybe that was the moment. Well, now that you see what we've seen, now that we had a throwaway who was a very humble person this morning who came in first and realized his mistake. voted for Trump, kind of knew it was going to happen, was willing to suck it up because he thought maybe there would be this government audit. Now he is seeing what's happening, and he's regretting his vote. We need more people like that, but it's on us. This is the we the people moment. All of you who are here in our nation, 340 million plus, everybody, we are now here for a purpose. Our purpose is this. Our purpose is to defend the rights of the people that we care about. Our purpose is to defend the nation that we claim to love, right? Our purpose is to protect the rights of those people who can't protect themselves. That's our job. And until we can do that, then we're no different than anybody else. We got to do something. We've got to stop accepting status quo because it doesn't exist. It's no longer there. The courts are not going to save us. Hopefully there'll be some courageous members of Congress that are willing to step up, stand up to their own party, because again, they are in the majority, their own party, willing to do this. We're getting, I think a lot of us, and I'll take my flowers for some of this. A lot of people have said that I've given people encouragement and advice as to what to look for and how to look for it, navigate through the rhetoric, navigate through the gaslighting. So when Speaker Johnson goes and tries to blame Democrats for not passing legislation, he's in the majority, doesn't need Democrats. Let them blame all they want. Let them blame all they want. When shit crumbles, it's on them. So, yeah. Anyway, more to cover. It's crazy.
Hey, good morning, Facts.
Hey, Pyle. How you doing, man?
I'll try to be brief once again. So regarding Elon Musk and his quote unquote audits, all right. I just want to point out something like, so they're doing a lot of things under the guise of reasonable actions. You know, they want to gaslight people into believing that like what they're doing is somehow just or noble. All right.
Right.
But I just want to remind everybody, an audit is meant to be fact-finding, not actionable events. Like what Musk is doing is not just fact-finding, like on its face. And furthermore,
and is he even finding any facts? I mean,
exactly. I mean,
they
he's
are the
already-
source, right?
Yeah.
That's why you need oversight.
Furthermore, if you conduct an audit, audits are done on standards, you know. So, and you can't just invite, you know, an entity into an organization and just run amok without internal knowledge of either what the regulations are and what they're looking for. All right, and it seems to me that Musk and his handful of I don't know, posse or whatever you want to call them.
I call them camp counselors in training.
Camp counselors in training. That's probably pretty accurate. No, I mean, these guys don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. You know, like from a hole in the ground, as it relates to all the intricacies of the government. They don't. You know, why not use inspectors generals that were literally attached to the organizations that have internal knowledge of what goes on? You know,
Yeah. I think you're talking about like it's like SOX compliance, like Sarbanes-Oxley or whatever that term is. I think that's the term. But I mean, although those are standards, but there are auditing standards that are supposed to be followed. Otherwise, it's not an audit. You know?
And then once you have something, like your findings are based on those standards. Those like those standards and regulations, laws. You know, like go figure, right? You know, they exist. Those departments exist solely because there was a law that was passed that mandated their existence.
That's correct. That's correct.
So,
but it's the gaslight, right, Pyle? I mean, it's literally to stand there in the Oval Office and finally the reporters are asking the right question. I would sell everything I have. I could stand there in front of Elon Musk for 5 minutes and interview him. I would give everything to make that happen, quite frankly. But because finally you're starting to see, if you'll notice, a lot of the grilling questions come from reporters who don't report to mainstream media domestically. They represent other organizations across the world, and they are asking him tougher questions like, are you going to remove yourself? There's a conflict of interest there. You get billions of dollars. You get billions of dollars from our government to subsidize your various hobbies. You know, your
Well, aside
trips
from
to
the conflict
Mars.
of interest in his invested, you know, like his invested interests in those departments, he also has investigations
Exactly.
within those departments.
USAID was one.
Like
Starlink in Ukraine.
yeah, I mean, it reeks of corruption, you
It does.
know,
Beyond
and
that, yeah, it's corruption to the it's corruption to a scale that we have never seen before, and it's happening right in front of us.
but anyways, that's me venting for the morning. Keep doing what you're
Appreciate you,
doing,
buddy.
man.
I appreciate you. Have a good day. I think he brings up a really good point, right? I mean, listen, I don't think if we're being objective, I don't think there's anybody who would disagree that we would not want to know where our taxpayer dollars are being spent. I will remind you, the Department of Defense has not passed an audit. I think it's 9 years, something to that effect. So it goes back to the Trump administration, through the Biden administration, I think even the last couple of years of the Obama administration. So let's start there. You know, the military industrial complex, no one wants to talk about that, right? Nobody wants to talk about that. But instead, we're going to investigate the Department of Education. There's a ruling, by the way, from a court. Apparently, at direction of the Trump administration, the Education Department agrees to block DOJ from accessing student data. So as they're picking through the various government agencies, why didn't they start with the DOD first? I don't know. You guys can figure that out yourself. But apparently DOJ was going to go in to try to access student information. I'll say this publicly. If Pell Grants go away, I'm selling my house because there's no way I can afford to send my daughter to college. Quite frankly, I've saved every single dime. I've got 2 kids through, 1 more to go. There's no money. I know a lot of Americans are feeling the same thing, but I don't know how else it would happen. So this is it. This is where we are. We sit here every single day and we talk about these things, and people talk about, well, it's not really happening. It's the left's being hyperbolic. The left's being weird. The left's being, fear mongering. No, we're not. This is real. Good morning, my friend. How are you? I know.
Articles of impeachment are being brought up against the judge. Are we in a constitutional crisis yet?
We've been on a constitutional crisis since noon on the 20th of January.
Yeah, I was on a call actually with a congressman yesterday, and that was one of the questions that was asked. And he's like, I don't think we can call it that yet. And this was a Democrat. Yeah, we can. And I think more importantly than calling our Democratic legislators, it's calling the Republican ones. Because they will go down the history books as the ones who stood there and let this all happen.
Mm-hmm. And just so you folks know, Judge Paul Engelmeyer faces impeachment for blocking Musk's DOJ. Republican congressman has said that he drafted articles of impeachment against the judge who blocked Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency from accessing the Treasury Department payment systems. Arizona Rep. Eli Crane said in a post on X, formerly Twitter, the Manhattan-based U.S. District Judge Paul Engelmeyer was, quote, attempting to stop White House employees from accessing the very systems they oversee. White House employees do not oversee the Treasury. That is Congress's job. Newsweek reached out to Engelmeyer for comment. Why it matters. Musk's effort to cut the federal budget by $2 trillion a year has faced major legal challenges since Trump first entered the White House. DOJ began hiring lawyers with Supreme Court clerking experience ahead of legal battles that could go all the way to the highest court. The impeachment of a judge blocking DOJ would be a huge victory for Musk's team. Engelmeyer is responsible for a Saturday ruling that blocked Musk and DOJ Doggy, that blocked Musk and his doggy allies from accessing sensitive Treasury records. He issued a preliminary injunction barring Doggy, which is not an official government department, from accessing the personal financial data of millions of Americans in the Treasury Department. He also ordered Doggy to destroy any records they might already have obtained since January 20th. So the Republicans' response to that is to not question whether or not an unelected bureaucrat should be doing this. The response is, let's impeach the judge who's protecting American citizens.
Yeah.
I mean, they're likely not going to get this through, but that's the response.
I'm just,
Crazy.
I mean, I'm losing faith. I really am just,
You can't.
it's worse than I thought it was going to be.
There was reporting recently, Jim McGovern, who was one of the few sort of moderate Democrats that I like because he fights back a little bit more, calling out Byron Donalds for voting by proxy. When Byron Donalds was one of the very few people, one of the Republicans who stood up and said, we should bar proxy voting. So you should only be able to vote in person. Byron Donalds decided to go to an interview with Bill Maher. He got dog walked on interview, and then someone used his voting card to vote on his behalf, which is a violation of the rules. And Jim McGovern called him out and said, listen, that's voter fraud. Republicans, you allowed that to happen. Meanwhile, you wouldn't allow a person, a Republican, a Democratic woman who was literally, who just had a baby.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't allow her to vote. So, yeah.
Well, we're going to see a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a point I wanted to make. But first of all, it's worse than I thought, but there was something else I was going to say. I'm not sleeping well. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Why is it that Republicans only care about the Second Amendment in our Constitution?
Well,
It feels like they don't care about any other piece of the Constitution at all.
I think if you look at what they've done in regard to the First Amendment, obviously that situation in North Dakota where they want to basically change their constitution to make it a Christian nationalist state. We know their approach to free speech. We know their approach to the freedom of the press. They don't want peaceful assembly. They don't want to be able to petition the government. So the Second Amendment is soon to become the First Amendment.
Right. They don't care about the 14th. They don't care about any piece of our Constitution. They don't care about checks and balances.
Nope.
They don't care about any of it.
Nope.
As long as their guy's winning, and they don't care.
Correct. It's team sports. You're right, Mishi. It's team sports for them. It's
Oh,
own the
I'm
libs. It's own the libs. That's it.
Megan, it's not about that. I'm not sleeping because I'm worried about this country. Like I go to sleep worried about the future of this country. That's why I'm not sleeping.
And it's real. I mean, I think that's the general, and I worry about that because that's going to create apathy. People are just going to be so just despondent that they're not going to want to do everything. This is the fight or flight moment that we're in here, right? What are people going to do?
We're 100%. And I'm in this, I'm in that mode. I've been trying to talk to about it because I'm in that, I don't know, I guess they're just going to take over and control my body. And that's just the way it's going to be. And my rights are going to be stripped. And I guess I'll just go about my day. Like that's just, I'm feeling that. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's just feeling that.
Yeah, you're not.
You know, I'm feeling it hard.
Yeah, and that's why I'm doing this every day to try to remind people that it doesn't always have to be political involvement in your community. It could just be helping a neighbor. It could just be something to, because the emotions connected to giving to someone, like that is something that is just that does things, physiologically when you are generous and you show kindness towards someone. It could be somebody in your neighborhood that you may have never have met before. You could have a neighborhood barbecue. You could volunteer at a soup kitchen. You could go to a rally that you've never been to before. You got to start exercising that activism muscle.
Yeah, I mean, and community is what we need most of all. And I had promised to do this ahead of time, although I went off of my Facebook and stuff. But I had said beforehand about creating a women's group in my community post-election. And I would say that's something that if you feel so inclined, community works. If you can get together a small group of people, 5 or 6 people even, and try to find ways to reach out to targeted groups in your community, marginalized groups in your community, that would be something that I think I'm going to try to put together locally.
I think that's great. I think it's, for men, maybe it's start a men's group. Maybe you guys just get together and play darts and do whatever and talk about things and try to help others out. Like if you're in a community that if you, especially if you're, a cis white hetero men, since we're the ones that have basically fucked this shit up for the most part, get other like-minded men together and figure out ways that you guys can work together to help. Volunteer at a school, go read to kids at a preschool, volunteer at an after school program.
Right.
Do something. Are you skilled? Have you walked by this garage that's falling down every day? Knock on the neighbor's door, say, hey, can I fix that? I've got skills. Things like that. There are things that we can do. People just have to be willing to do it. To your point, feeling defeated, I get it. We all do. I haven't slept well in 2 weeks, but I'm defending my daughter. I'm doing everything that I can try to do to help. And I'm literally if I'm looking at Department of Education and Pell Grants go away, I do not know how she's going to go to college. I just don't know.
Well, I think the only thing that's giving me hope is listening on this app. I am hearing a lot of MAGA regret. I really am. This is the first time. I mean, we've been doing this for how long? 4 or 5 years? I mean, I've been
Did
doing
you hear
live.
my first caller today by chance?
No, I missed him. But I heard you talking about your first caller.
Yeah. Yep. He was like, I screwed up. He's like, basically, I screwed up. I wanted a government audit, but I had no idea it was going to be like this.
Yeah, I was talking on Johnny's live yesterday to a young 22-year-old, college kid. And it's like, boy, I messed up.
Yep.
I had no idea. I had no idea. I just thought it was the cool thing to do. Like all the other kids in my school were doing it, kind of thing.
By the way, the stock market opened 1% down this morning. All the major indices, NASDAQ, the Dow, everything is down. Just because there's so much volatility, we know.
Well, not everything's down. Gas is up and egg prices are up.
Gas is up, egg prices are up, inflation went up again, hit over 3%, coming off the job reports from January were significantly lower than expectations initially. So this is the byproduct. But
here's the thing I think MAGA's hanging on to. I think they think with all of these cuts that they're making, right? Which I understand there's going to be some areas where we can cut government spending and replace it even with AI. I mean, I get that. There will be some modernization of our systems. Mm-hmm. But I truly believe, and this is the part that MAGA is going to see, they think that savings is going to come back to their pockets. I think they think that when they find this government,
they do. Well,
fraud.
On that point, so the initial House budget, so they've been back and forth. The House and the Senate are arguing with each other. The Senate wants to do 2 bills. They want to talk about some spending now and then deal with the tax cuts later. Mike Johnson wants to do a big old omnibus bill, which they complain about all the time, but apparently it's fine when you're in charge. So initially, the initial outline, $4.1 trillion in tax cuts. Okay, $4.5 trillion in tax cuts. $400 billion increase in mandatory spending.
Yeah, I saw that.
$1.5 trillion in spending cuts, and that assumes an economic growth of 2.5%. So there's more deficit. So you cut taxes by 4.5 trillion, removing revenue, and then you cut 1.5 in spending cuts, which they say they're going to do, but yet simultaneously they're increasing mandatory spending by $500 billion. So that's a bigger deficit. So why is Elon going through the drawers looking for pennies? I don't know.
Because they have to pay for the biggest tax cuts to the rich.
Right, and they even can't.
Right. Even with all that, even with the slashing, by the way, of programs that benefit the American people. Programs that benefit you guys. You should be really scared what they're slashing just so they can give tax breaks to corporations. And they're pushing this, and I think America really needs to pay attention. Even if you watch Fox News, MAGA, they're talking about you working more and longer. Pay attention. Pay attention to they're subtly, you know what? You live longer and have a better life if you work till you're 70. Okay? Yeah. They've got experts coming on, medical experts telling you that you're not working enough.
And I want to talk about this real quick, since we're talking about America First. There was another sort of stunning moment recently, because I don't know about you, Mishi, but I would love for something to be precedented once in a while. Every day is like unprecedented at every turn.
Like the lights you've never seen before.
Exactly, bigly, hugely. They're talking about, so as we all remember, the plan was to just, hell to pay if the hostages are not released by noon on Saturday, whatever that means. But this is now the pivot because initially Trump said he was going to buy Gaza, but now his words have changed. This is what he had to say.
How is the U.S. going to own Gaza? Your White House has made clear taxpayer dollars won't be used for this. So what money are you going to use to buy Gaza?
We're not going to buy anything. We're going to have it. We're going to keep it, and we're going to make sure that there's going to be peace, and there's not going to be any problem, and nobody's going to question it. And we're going to run it very properly, and eventually we'll have economic development at a very large scale, maybe the largest scale on that site. And we'll have lots of good things built there, including hotels and office buildings and housing and other things. And we'll make that site into what it should be.
And Mr. President, take it under what authority? It is sovereign territory.
Under the U.S. authority.
Mr. President, you said before that the U.S. would buy Gaza, and today you just said we're not going to buy Gaza.
We're not going to have to buy. We're going to have Gaza. We don't have to buy. There's nothing to buy. We will have Gaza.
What does that mean?
No reason to buy. There is nothing to buy. It's Gaza. It's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to get it going eventually where a lot of jobs are going to be created for the people in the Middle East.
A lot of jobs are going to be created for people in the Middle East.
Not Palestinians, though.
Interesting. Not America first, not jobs here. We're just going to take it.
A dictator says what?
We're just going to take it. We don't need to buy it. We're just going to take it. On whose authority? Our authority.
And no
Dictator
one's
says
going
what?
to stop us.
And no one's going to stop us.
No one's going to stop us.
I know. The Jordanian president, by the way, sitting with him in that, or the prime minister sitting with him in the Oval Office, because he's expecting Jordan and Egypt to take the refugees that he's now kicked out of Palestine. They're home, by the way. But
Did you watch?
It doesn't
did you
matter
watch him?
because we're just going to take it.
Did you watch him to respond to that? I watched him be interviewed on CNN.
The Jordanian president?
Yeah. And I mean, boy, he was tiptoeing, but he said, yeah, we're not going to take them, but we'll figure it out. But we'll figure it out. But we're not going to take them, but we'll figure it out. We'll work with President Trump. But it was,
yeah.
And they're like, well, he says you will. He's like,
Yeah, listen to this part again.
Torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to get it going eventually where a lot of jobs are going to be created for the people in the Middle East. It's going to be for the people in the Middle East, but I think it could be a diamond. It could be an absolute tremendous asset for the Middle East. You know bullies? You know what a bully is, right?
A bully?
You know the bully, I've always, and I found it throughout my life, a bully is the weakest person.
You.
And they're bullies.
It's you.
You.
Us is bullies.
Self-owned.
The weakest people are bullies. You know that.
yes.
Yep, we know that, Donnie. We know that.
I
We know
hate
that
Taylor Swift.
the ultimate self-own. So there you are. So MAGA, I know you're listening, and because I know you're in here because Mishi's here. I'm sure you followed her in here, and I'm here, so I know you're here. So this is your America First guy. He just told you that he's going to create jobs for people in the Middle East. Not here. He just told you, we've been telling you that he's a dictator. This is what dictators do. We're just going to take it. We're just going to take Greenland. We're just going to annex Canada. We're just going to take the Panama Canal. That's what dictators do. 1930s Germany, ring a bell?
This is what happens when you hire a failed real estate developer to be the president, who's a fraud, a con man, and a felon, who has no soul. He's been wanting to develop that region. So he's using the presidency to better himself. And that's something you guys get really upset about, right? You get mad when legislators make money, right, by being in Congress. You guys complain about all the time. And hey, we can have a conversation about that. I'd be cool with that. right?
Yeah.
But Donald Trump is going to develop with his buddies, with his billionaire buddies, 13 of them, and they're the ones who are going to get loaded on on the Riviera in Gaza.
Did you hear about HR 1161, Ishi, which is to authorize? This was introduced by the House Foreign Affairs and Natural Resources Committee, sponsored by Rep. Earl Buddy Carter from Georgia. The bill is this. This is not a joke. This has been introduced as a House resolution to authorize the president to enter into negotiations to acquire Greenland and to rename Greenland Red, White, and Blue Land.
I have to say, I'm a little surprised that they didn't say blue, white, and red land, though, because I'm surprised they're letting the blue land get in there.
That's a good point. No, I'm dead serious. Yeah. So,
no, I know. I did a thing on it. Blue sky.
To authorize the president to enter into negotiations to acquire Greenland, rename Red, White, and Blue Land. This act may be cited as the Red, White, and Blue Land Act of 2025. The president is authorized to enter into negotiations with the government of Denmark to purchase or otherwise acquire Greenland. Renaming of Greenland Red, White, and Blue Land. Greenland shall be known as Red, White, and Blue Land. Any reference in a law, map, regulation, document, paper, or other record of the United States to Greenland shall be then deemed to be called Red, White, and Blue Land. The Secretary of the Interior, acting through the chairman of the Board of Geographic Names, shall oversee the implementation of the renaming process not later than 180 days after the date of this enactment of this section. The head of each federal agency shall update each document and map of the federal agency in accordance with renaming described in subsection A. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the 119th Congress of the United States. They apparently don't care about gas prices, egg prices, mortgage interest rates, the cost of housing, anything. But let's rename Greenland. Let's acquire it. Let's take it.
With the Gaza Strip.
Let's cuddle it. Yep, let's cuddle it. Wait, hold on. I've got a little friend here. Let's cuddle it. Yep. And then we're gonna rename it Red, White, and Blue Land.
You know what? Again, yes, I am embarrassed to say I'm an American right now. It is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And he sits there and tells MAGA, "We're respected on the stage." No, we are not on the world stage. Stand us. No one respects us on the world stage except for Bibi, maybe.
And the look on Bibi's face when Trump was talking about like taking Gaza, he was smiling.
Thrilled. Oh, he's thrilled. He's thrilled. But I mean, you guys have to understand, the United Nations is against Israel right now, what they're doing.
Absolutely.
Like, we're not aligning ourselves in a good way.
Not even close. Hey, Val. How are you?
How's it going? I'm glad you brought up the Blue Land.
I'm surprised.
We laugh so we don't cry.
Exactly. The thing is you got to ask yourself why. Why would you want to do something like this? This is exactly, that's part of it. But we already had agreements. We could, you know what I'm saying? We could visit, you know what I'm saying, set up shop on Greenland if we wanted to with our allies, if that was needed. This is not like we didn't have access to Greenland.
Correct.
Which makes no sense. You've got somebody that's actually our ally. And the whole thing is weird because you're turning an ally into an enemy. So you got to ask yourself why. And a lot of people say Russia, and Russia's part of it.
Yeah, that massive NATO base there that supports NATO in defense of Russia. Panama Canal has massive sanctions and restrictions against Russian cargo vessels, and then Canada with other natural resources.
Right.
Follow the money.
It's about the Northwest Passage.
Exactly.
And the Northwest Passage, for those who don't keep up, because of global warming and stuff, it's become easier to get through the Northwest Passage. Yep. And that is the next shipping channel as global warming moves forward.
Correct.
And this is a money play and a power play for that Northwest Passage. And that is frightening.
It's not ours to take.
Right.
Just because we want it doesn't mean we can take it. Are we going to do that with everything? You know what? I want this area. It's it's pretty.
I mean, it's 1800. You know what I'm saying? It's 1800s Great Britain type of moves. I mean,
We're colonizing, guys.
everything. Yeah, colonizing. And Nate, these are the things that people need to start paying attention to and watching is why. And then, you have, of course, I don't know if y'all have gone over it yet. You have the subversion of our Constitution, not paying attention to the courts. And
courts don't matter. I mean,
Yeah.
even if they did, they're compromised too. I mean,
Right.
we talked about this situation in North Dakota where they want to change their constitution to be like the state of God. They literally want to change the language in their constitution so they can proclaim that North Dakota is hails to the Almighty God and Jesus or whatever else. And people are saying, well, that would be challenged constitutionally. Do you think Justice Alito and Clarence Thomas are going to stop that?
No,
Hell no.
they're not.
Hell no. Sign it up.
They're not.
They said they flat out told us that the courts don't matter. I mean, everybody needs to understand this. This is an attempt to push against every system that we have in hopes that something will break, right? They know what they're doing violates the Constitution. They don't care. They expect someone, then the onus becomes on litigation. Someone has to challenge it in court based on the constitutionality, or a judge has to intervene like they've done. And until that happens, they're still going to do it. Steve Bannon talked about this, the muzzle velocity of information. Throw as much out there as you possibly can, all at the same time, and then you'll get a bunch of your shit done. So I don't know. I don't know.
Someone said, according to liberal Democrats, courts have always been controlled given the demographics. The courts have to follow our Constitution, BJXX. You guys have been screaming about the Constitution, and we all agree it needs to be upheld.
If you break the three co-equal branches of government, and all to do that, you just have to break one.
That's right.
If you break the three co-equal branches of government, you have lost the Constitution. It's that simple.
So the person who was in here chirping saying the Dow Jones isn't down, the Dow Jones was opened down a point. It is currently down a point. So I don't know what you're looking at, friend. I'm tracking it in real time. So sorry, but there you go. All right. I'm going to bring up Moth real quick just to do
I actually have breakfast with somebody.
Good for you.
From No Labels.
Oh,
there you go. There you go.
Well, I'm not a huge fan of No Labels, but I said I'd hear them out. So
I appreciate you. Thanks for being here.
All right. Thanks for having me. Take care.
Be safe out there. Take care. You can hang, Val. Moth,
okay.
If you don't mind, I'll be right back.
No, not a problem.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Doing good.
Good. I'm just hopping up here to tell everybody that we should be tapping that screen a lot harder and a lot faster than we are. There are 1,000 of us in here. We should definitely be let's get them likes up to at least 250,000, but if we could get up to 300, that would be even better, of course. Let's get those shares going as well. Good morning, Victoria. Let's get those shares up to 500 if we could. If you go to the FactsStillMatter.site, you can subscribe to Facts through there. Being a subscriber gets you all sorts of... sorry, I'm in the middle of work, so my brain is not working. You get all sorts of different perks. If you're a subscriber, you get 10% off in the merch store. You get access to subscriber-only events. If you go to the link in Facts bio, you can join the Discord. You don't have to be a subscriber to join the Discord. If you have any issues with the link, you might have to try copying and pasting into a browser. If you're still having issues, just reach out to one of us mods. We can get you set up. And yeah, Victoria said that if we can get up to 350,000 likes, she'll come up and call Steve Silverfax. So let's get those likes up.
Well,
so
that would only happen if I actually let her come in to the box. So that's another thing, right? Yeah,
so if we get up to 350,000, we can turn Steve red.
Well, that doesn't take much. Thank you, Moth. I appreciate you.
It's all right.
You know,
That's
I was gonna say I got a good chuckle out of listening to Trump talking about how we're gonna hold Gaza and we're gonna
Yeah.
cherish it. You know what it made me think of?
What?
That Looney Tunes character. I will
I
hug
love
him,
him
pet
and
him,
crib and call him George.
and call him George. That's all I could think of. As soon as I listened to that, I said to myself, and call him George.
Call him George. Yeah, I know. All right, you get out of here. Thank you for being here. See you later. Bye. So I just wanted to share this news because I got this because my daughter is tuned in on to politics. There's been a lot of discussion in my little state of the Republic of Vermont that does not exist. Don't tell anybody about it. But there's been a lot of churning and burning lately about consolidation of school districts because there are some districts that are really fractured. So there can be an argument made to consolidate some, but everybody's been worried. So the last couple of school board meetings that I've been to, these conversations have started. So Governor Phil Scott, who by the way is a Republican governor, who was the first governor to come out against Donald Trump, who talks regularly about how the destruction of Donald Trump and he doesn't support his agenda, but he does plan to overhaul the state's education system. The administration's 16-page proposal calls for eliminating supervisory unions and establishing 5 regional school districts. It would also help designate an unlimited number of school choice schools. The current school choice policy allows students who don't have school in their town to have their tax dollars follow them to another school within a certain criteria. It's worked fairly well. I wouldn't say that. But if that shifts dramatically, it could really erode the public schools in our state. So, for example, small schools would, if people decide to send their students elsewhere, taxpayer dollars, not a voucher system, but it would be a really, it wouldn't be good. So that's something I'll keep an eye on. 'Cause even in the Republic of Vermont, that doesn't exist. Things like this are happening.
Republic of Vermont. the things that that's something we deal with here in Texas right now too. That's one of the big arguments and fights that are going on in the state house. And of course, our state house has won that battle for the last. I mean, we've staved it, I should say, for the last 4 years. We've kept the governor at bay. We haven't allowed school choice, and we've called it out for what it is, which is amazing when you're talking about a Republican House. But they're not for it. The Republican House in the state of Texas is just not for school choice. They see it for what it is, welfare for the wealthy. And in taking education away from children. So that's been a fight that's been going on here. We've done okay with it, but now we're starting to have the same problems that you're talking about. Because the governor's holding funding to schools, we have schools that are starting to fracture. And I'm very familiar with that problem, and it is a problem that we do. I don't know how we don't address it if we don't address it nationally, because I think it's just going to get larger and it's going to grow from state to state to state.
I agree. I mean, in our state, there's some geographic challenges, quite frankly, because there are some districts that are in rural communities that are spread over 50 or 60 miles.
Right, small.
Yeah, small. And there's some schools that are, it's always been a challenge here. I mean, our state thankfully does prioritize education. We do quite well in those regards nationally, but it's still one of those things that you can make an argument that some consolidation would be good. But if you expand the school choice, then we know what's going to happen. There's going to be smaller schools that are going to be closed that parents might not have the ability to get their kids there. So it's not a perfect solution, but I'll keep an eye on that. DJ, how are you this morning?
Not good. I woke up and my wife's Social Security being gutted by 90%. 90%. Yep. She's 66 years old. Retired 3 years ago. They gutted it by 90%. She's getting $686. Now it's down to $110.
Okay.
It's in the background.
Right. So I guess
background.
let me. I'm going to put you on the big screen just so we can see what it is that you're talking about. Okay. So, all right. So that's her payment. All right. So
usually she gets $686 a month. It's down to $110.
Was there any explanation as to why?
Nope. None.
I'm just trying to figure out, I'm just trying to figure out where that came from.
Well, It just started this month, and she's been getting it for 3 years, $868 a month. Nothing changed. That's what she was granted for because she worked all of her life, and that's what she depends on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to be careful, DJ. I'm not saying that didn't happen to you. I'm really, really sorry about that. But I don't know if, because I'm seeing some people commenting in the chat that it didn't happen to them. So I'm wondering if there is something, maybe it's an extra payment. Maybe it's an extra payment that doesn't come as the part of the regular payment.
No, she gets on the 12th on the 11th or 12th of every month. Because it hasn't changed. So.
Okay. Well, that's something that we'll look into, because I've not seen that. We'll look into it.
All right, peace.
Thank you, DJ. I appreciate you. Because that would be a little odd.
That would be major news.
That would be major news, and I don't see anything. I know our mod team is going to be on running that down like crazy. I also wanted to report on this, that judge there's articles of impeachment filed against that judge, John McConnell, the federal judge from Rhode Island, who ordered the Trump administration and Doge to unfreeze billions of dollars in federal grants. This was posted on X. Has a daughter who currently works for the U.S. Department of Education as a senior policy advisor and was appointed by Joe Biden in 2022. They published her name. They published her picture. They gave some personal information about her. The judge's daughter, who is standing up for democracy.
This is a standard tactic, right? This ain't the first time we've seen this.
Correct.
And that's what dictators do, people. They rule by power.
That's exactly right. This was a statement from Elon Musk on X. At this point, I am 100% certain that the magnitude of the fraud in federal entitlements, including Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, welfare, disability, etc., exceeds the combined sum of every private scam you've ever heard of by far. And it's not even close. For them to tell you that they're not coming after your Social Security, your Medicare, your Medicaid, your veterans benefits, your disability, etc., it's another lie. Again, that statement. At this point, I am 100% certain that the magnitude of the fraud in federal entitlements, it's your money, you're entitled to it, it is your money, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, welfare, disability, etc., exceeds the combined sum of every private scam you've ever heard of by far, and it's not even close.
I mean, if you're going to break up Social Security, if that's going to be a reality, somewhere along the line, the Democrats and American people just across the board, doesn't even matter if you're Democrat or Republican at this point, somewhere across that board, we have to start determining what is going to happen with the money that we have paid into that system. And
I want it all back.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
And that would be the only way that would be a correct outcome.
Oh. Sylvia, are you there? I think they may have been an accident. No, you're right. I want it all back. I want every dime right now. I'll take my retirement early. I want it all back.
Right. I want it all back, one lump sum. I will take care of it myself after that point. I'm responsible. If I'm going to be responsible for myself, I need the money I've paid in back.
Yep. And again, just as a reminder, some of the audio that we played this morning from Elon's appearance in the Resolute desk with the co-president Trump, the question was asked about his transparency. His claim was that he's being transparent. He's putting all of his receipts on the Doge website, which he's not. And his claim is that he's using X to inform his voters of all the fraud and waste that he's found, which he's not doing. Him just saying it. That would be like me me as a fox walking up to the farmer and saying, the chicken coop you put me in charge of, it's all good. Nothing for you to worry about. Nothing to see there. I gotcha. When asked if he would remove himself from situations where there was a perceived conflict of interest, he said, well, I would expect other people to let me know that there was. So the same man who is now going public talking about Social Security when the Republicans have been saying there will be no cuts to Social Security. Meanwhile, they're making plans to cut Social Security. By the way, friends, raising the age of access to Social Security benefits is cutting your benefits. Just so you know, just another way to talk about it. It's fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah, 60. You had to raise your age to 67 is exactly what that is.
Yep, it's a cut to benefits. Stay as long as you want, Val. It's up to you, buddy. Excuse me. Sorry. Hi, Jenny. How are you today? Oh, doesn't look like Jenny's able to connect. Jenny from the block. You can request again, Jenny. Everybody, please consider tapping and sharing. Don't forget there's a gifting goal today. If you haven't joined our team yet, please do so. And please consider subscribing. Appreciate you very much. You can do that at FactsStillMatter.site. Lisa, how are you this morning?
Good morning from New York. How are you?
Doing okay. Doing okay.
So I love listening to your shows because you actually do give a lot of information to people.
Thank you.
And I was listening to your last speaker, or the lady that spoke, I forgot her name, but she was talking about she feels like overwhelmed and she feels kind of like her hands are tied and just gonna allow what's going to happen. I want to give you some information, if you don't mind, because I am very involved in my area, my local area. First of all, I would like to mention that anybody who feels overwhelmed, that is the tactic. That is absolutely what they're trying to do. If anybody remembers 9/11, when Bush started pushing through the Patriot Act, we now see how much of our rights were taken away with government surveillance, with all the things that they did with immigration and how they changed things. So there is a book written by Naomi Klein, which is called The Shock Doctrine. I highly recommend people who feel overwhelmed to take a deep breath, get the book, read it. It is part of the tactic, so you become complacent to the things that they're going to do. The second thing I want to mention is that this is all part of the white Christian nationalist plan, which is part of the it's called the 7 mountains or pillars of influence. It is attacking families, religion, education, media, arts and entertainment, business, and government. It's a sphere of a culture that shapes how people think and behave. The founder is Lance Walnew. He is part of the Lance Learning Group. He's a preacher, and this is part of the New Apostolic Reform, which is the NRA. It's called NAR. I'm sorry, NAR 7 Mountains Mandate.
Yeah.
So that's important to understand that this is a tactical move. They have a blueprint of what they're trying to do. So what we can do to actually combat this, and this is something that I've done in my district since Trump took in office, I recommend that everyone start going to their school board meetings, pay attention to what's happening in the school boards, run for, the elections for school boards are in May. If you have the time, look into running for your local school board. It doesn't cost that much to advertise or to get signatures. Join local LGBT groups in your area, which I belong to the LGBT network in my area. And they're actually helping train candidates to run for school boards that will help and protect trans children and people from the LGBT community. Also join any Latino groups, because they are actually they're being proactive and not being reactive. We have to be proactive. And if those things are too much for you to do, join online mobilize.us and help phone bank for special elections in other districts, in other states. You can help flip seats in other states. You can write letters to your editors in your local papers stating what you feel, what's going on in your district, and informing the community. Let me see, I wrote down a few things so that way people don't feel like their hands are tied, that they can actually do something. because
there's a few organizations. I'm going to plug again, nationalgroundgame.com. So as a reminder, folks, I'll be joined Monday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time by Gay Valamont. Gay is running in District 1 in Florida to fill the seat vacated by
oh yeah,
Matt
the
Gaetz.
special election,
We always
right?
talk about that to fill the seat vacated by Matt Gaetz, she'll have to disinfect it first, obviously, but that special election is coming up in April. So National Ground Game is a PAC has been organized to not only help support Gay in her run, but also Josh Wheel, who's also running in Florida in District 6. So if those two Democrats win these seats, then the House is deadlocked at 217. And then there's
That's
a special
fantastic.
election that will be scheduled in upstate New York to replace Elise Stefanik. So there are things that we can do. So National Ground Game is a grassroots powered PAC that deploys organizers in all 50 states. We strive to spark meaningful conversations that inspire action toward a transformative working class agenda. We envision a political sphere that champions the interest of working class Americans in every state. The link to that is in my bio. Please consider joining that cause. They're looking for volunteers. They're giving people suggestions and advice based on their skill sets as to how you can help. If you live in those districts, knock on doors, put up your hand and say, I want to help. I think it's on us also to pressure the DNC. They should be all over those special elections. If they're not, then we can't count on them either. So I'd like to think that David Hogg, since he's a resident of Florida, would be engaged in this, and she's now the vice chair of the DNC, or one of the vice chairs. So these are things that we can do. These are things that we can do.
Yeah, and last night at the meeting that I was attending, we cannot wait for anybody to save us.
Correct.
We got to do it together.
Correct.
And I want to bring one more thing is that the halftime show with Kendrick Lamar, remember what he said, and he told everyone. What we witnessed was a big protest at the NFL. That's what we watched. In the beginning is what he said, the revolution is about to be televised. You got the right time, but the wrong guy. So it's time for us to come in and step up. We have to do whatever little part that you do, donate to the ACLU. I'm very fortunate to be in New York State, and I got a fantastic attorney general, which is Letitia James. So donate to the ACLU because they're the ones that are putting through a lot of the lawsuits to protect marginalized people, including women, and just get engaged in one aspect or another. And if it's too much, the federal, I think, is a big step for a lot of people that don't have that experience. Start with your schools. Protect your schools and your library.
Just start by going to a school.
Go to the school boards and pay attention. I can tell you right now in my district where I live, in my school board, they just pushed out the highly educated Dr. Donna Jones. She is a Black woman, and they targeted her. They bombarded the phone calls, and they pushed her out. I'm going to the next meeting. I actually have a meeting to speak with her this morning. So it is very important to pay attention because there's something that they are doing, and that is part of that 7 Mountain Mandate, which is what is going to, they have the blueprint. We just have to get engaged.
Thank you, Lisa, for jumping in
Thank
today.
you.
I really appreciate that. You have a good day. Talk to
Thank
you
you.
soon. I want to just quickly just remind, I was reminded of something because as you guys know, I try to make connections to history because history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. The Enabling Act of 1933 allowed the Nazi government to create laws without approval from Germany's parliament. This act was the foundation of Schmittler's dictatorship. The Weimar Constitution governed Germany post-World War I to 1933. It established a semi-presidential republic with a parliament and a president. The Enabling Act allowed Schmittler to pass laws that violated the Constitution. The act passed with a majority, with only the Social Democrats voting against it. The Malicious Practices Act was one of the first decrees passed by the Nazis. It allowed the Nazis to punish enemies of the state by sending them to concentration camps or unaliving them. The Weimar Constitution included civic rights such as freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and habeas corpus. It also established a federal system with states, each with its own local government. History rhymes. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's scary times, fact. Scary times.
Yeah, it is, brother.
But no, I'm glad you brought up about those elections because those elections have become Normally, we wouldn't care about these types of elections, but this has become the stopgap. Hate to put
Exactly.
it that,
This is it.
yeah, this is the stopgap. If those 3 seats are taken, we actually control. If 2 of them are taken, we tie the House.
Correct. And then that special election in northern New York is everything. But again, I think the Republicans have proven that they can't manage a majority, never mind a slim majority. So even if it's one, even if it's one of 3, 2, I mean, it's incredibly important. And this is an example. Everybody's saying, "What can I do to help?" Those are things you can do to help. So, like I said, Gabe Alamont joining me 9 a.m. Eastern time on Monday morning. We're going to talk about her. We're going to talk about candidacies. We're going to talk about campaigns. We're going to talk about what people can do. So that's Monday morning. I'll be reminding folks every day. Good morning, Shay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing this morning?
We're doing.
I only have 5 minutes, but before I have to go into work, and I know we've talked before. I was just going to actually ask you, and it felt silly, so I withdrew. But if you watched Kendrick's performance and what you thought about it.
I thought it was great. I mean, I think a lot of the subtle gestures, like the Sony PlayStation remote control, going after Sony, which was the brand that he collabed under with Drake. I think there was a lot of the historical significance of having black men represent the American flag. I think there were a lot of things that were amazing, quite frankly.
And Samuel as
huge
Uncle
Kendrick fan. I've
Sam
always
and
been a
all
huge
that.
fan.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you about, because the more I looked into it and everything that he was saying, and the red, white, and blue, and everything divided, and them arching their backs as to show that, like, America was built on the backs of slaves and all this stuff. It was so good. It was just so amazing, and I just wanted to know what your opinion was of it.
Yeah, it was great. I hope more people watch it and then rewatch it, because it was amazing. It was great. Like I said, I've always been a fan of Kendrick, and it was great to see that.
Well, that's all. That just gave me a little bit of hope that, some other bigger people are noticing and are trying to get involved. And, it's not as overwhelming, because it's not like, are we the only ones seeing this? Are the little people the only ones that are noticing all of this happening? Like, is it just being ignored? Like, it really just kind of helped me.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's voices like his and others that we need to hear, because I'll give some examples in a second about how this administration is attempting to literally whitewash history.
Right. Well, I hope you have a great morning. I
Thanks.
enjoy your live. I'll be back tomorrow.
I appreciate you. Have a good day. See you later.
You too.
All right, bye.
Facts. I'm going to
Everybody,
drop
please keep.
for. I'm going to drop for a little bit. I have to go into. I have to do my work thing.
I appreciate you, friend. Good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you too.
See you later. Bye.
See you later.
Okay. So there was there was some reporting about I'll see if I can find this. Where is it? Everybody, if you wouldn't mind, just continue to tap like crazy. 350K. Apparently, there's a mandate from Victoria that she'll come up and make me blush, but that doesn't take much. So this was nice. This was another order from Trump. So Trump orders NASA to purge all mentions of women in leadership positions on its website. This is a drop everything and reprioritize your day request. As President Trump's anti-DEI agenda comes to bear on NASA, we're getting a revealing look at what his administration considers to be too woke. That would be women. In a directive sent out just days after his inauguration, NASA personnel were commanded to excise all mentions of anything, quote, specifically targeting women on the space agency's public website. 404 Media reports, quote, per NASA HQ direction, we are required to scrub mentions of the following terms from our public sites by 5 p.m. today. The directive reads, this is a drop everything and reprioritize your day request. The list of verboten terms include DEIA, accessibility, indigenous people, environmental justice, and finally, anything specifically targeting women, such as, quote, women in leadership. Speaking anonymously, a NASA employee confirmed that leadership were serious about the changes. We were absolutely required to scrub all DEIA related and or DEIA adjacent topics and terms from all external websites by 5 p.m. on the 22nd of this month. To lead the agency down this path, Trump handpicked Janet Petro as the space agency's acting head, a nomination that's reportedly surprised even national officials, which makes her the first woman to serve as the agency's administrator. These programs divide Americans by race, waste taxpayer dollars, and result in shameful discrimination, she wrote. That's funny, because when Petro was director of the Kennedy Space Center, she said in a 2021 interview, quote, at NASA and Kennedy Space Center, this is what she wrote in 2021. At NASA and Kennedy Space Center, our commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility has been paramount to the mission's success. The entire NASA leadership team stands behind this commitment. KSC has embraced the link between diverse teams and motivation and innovation. Anyway, so NASA has been directed to erase women from their history. People like Sally Ride, right? People like Krista McAuliffe, right? Anybody who's in any position of leadership within the organization, they're done too. So MAGA women, I don't even know what to say. And then I got this from our buddy Thickless. So this is another presidential order. This was issued yesterday or on the 10th, eliminating the Federal Executive Institute. I'm reading this as we go. By authority vested in me as president and the Constitution and the laws of the land, yeah, right, including Section 301, it is hereby ordered. Section 1, purpose and policy. It is the policy of the United States to treat taxpayer dollars responsibly and advance unifying priorities like a stronger and safer America. Accordingly, it is the priority of my administration to eliminate, to the greatest extent permitted by law, executive departments and agencies and programs that do not directly benefit the American people or further our nation's interest. In particular, the Federal Executive Institute, which was created by the administration of LBJ more than 50 years ago, is a government program purportedly designed to provide leadership training to bureaucrats. But bureaucratic leadership over the past half century has led to federal policies that enlarge and entrench the DC managerial class, a development that has not benefited the American family. The Federal Executive Institute should therefore be eliminated to refocus government on serving taxpayers, competence, and dedication to our Constitution rather than serving the federal bureaucracy. The Federal Executive Institute, by eliminating it, the director of the Office of Personnel Management will take all necessary steps to eliminate the Federal Executive Institute in accordance with applicable law. All prior presidential or other executive branch documents, I don't even know what to say anymore. So does this give people a reminder? And I'm going to say this every single day. We have to stop thinking that we have to remove they can't do that from our vernacular. We have to stop saying, well, that's not possible. Or stop asking the question, can they really do that? They are going to do everything unless someone stops them. And that someone would be us. It'd be organizations like the ACLU. It would be organizations like judges that are going to step in. Those judges who have their children's, their daughters doxxed because of them protecting the American interests. Those judges who now are subjected to articles of impeachment. We have to stop thinking that they can't do this. We literally, they are willing and at this point able in many regards to just go in and do whatever the hell that they want. To think that they won't is naive. And it will be too late for you to finally realize it. Super scary. But the resistance is everywhere if you know where to look. So keep looking. April, I'm sorry you're not able to connect, but please feel free to request again. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. I appreciate you guys very much. Almost at 3:50. Is there any chance, what's the question? Is there any chance the Supreme Court will hold up the federal judge's orders? I don't know. I mean, we don't know. I mean, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. Listen, the long game played by Mitch McConnell and the Heritage Foundation and the Federalist Society was to pack the court, to get conservative agendas and to not have pushback, and for judges to decide ultimately in their favor. I don't know if they expected this. So point is that unless Congress does something, unless the people who claim to be all about Article 1, Section 1, which is the separation of powers, where it clearly defines what Congress's role is, what the president's role is, and what the judiciary's role is, unless they do something, then it's going to go to the Supreme Court. Now, do we really think that a 6-3 majority conservative on the Supreme Court is going to do anything to derail an agenda that they support? Do you think that they're going to defend the rights of, do you think Clarence Thomas and Justice Alito are going to defend the rights of marginalized communities? Do you think they're going to step in and say it's unconstitutional, but we don't like DEIA, so therefore we won't take the case and we'll just let whatever happens happens? It's been the long game. They've been playing it for a very long time, and now they are reaping the benefits, so to speak. And I'll talk about expanding the court in just a second. I'll talk to you about what the Republicans in the House just did on that issue. Omar does not look like you're able to connect. There was legislation introduced by Republicans in the House to create a constitutional amendment capping Supreme Court judges at 9 and not going beyond that. Now, a constitutional amendment requires 2/3 of both houses and then ratification by 38 states, so it's not going to happen. But that would be an example. Now, that would be something that I was adamant about at least introducing legislation by the Democrats to expand the court, right? And that, again, becomes the weak, feckless nature of conservative Democrats and moderates. Progressives were calling for it. Why not? Progressives have been calling for it. Why would you not want to do that? You know, I will say this, that there was more ethics reforms introduced under the Biden administration with Democrats in the House and Senate than ever before, but it's not enough because there is no oversight on the court other than the court himself. It's just like Elon Musk. He is his own oversight. He is the one, he is telling the American public, like I said, the fox in the chicken coop, right? The fox telling the farmer, I got it. I've got it covered. Don't worry about it. It's safe from predators. No one's getting in, while he's licking his lips and sharpening his fork, right? Similarly with the Supreme Court, they're supposed to oversee themselves, their own ethics rules. We know what they are. We know who they are. It is a coup. You're right. It's crazy. My God. We're seeing it, friends. We're seeing it. It's here. It's on our shores. It's right. It's in the wall. The wall is keeping the riffraff in at this point. JB, I'm sorry. It looks like you might have timed out. My apologies. All right, we'll try JJ. JJ didn't want to come up. We'll try Michelle. Michelle didn't want to come up. Okay, and we'll try Veronica. Okay. Are you there, Veronica? I guess not. Okay. All right. So we talked about erasing women from history in our country. There are, from the House, their initial foray into the government, into the budget process, House GOP eyes Medicaid cuts to slash $2 trillion in spending. Remember, they told you that they were not coming after your Social Security. They told you they were not coming after their Medicaid. We told you that they were lying because they were going to do this all the time. That's part of their plan. As part of its budget bill, House Republicans are aiming to cut spending by up to $2.5 trillion. They have to pay for the tax cuts. The tax cuts are approaching $5 trillion. So we know that this effort by Elon Musk, and Mishi was right, and I've talked about this yesterday, tax Republicans and Trump supporters and MAGA and that group of people think they're going to get a check from Elon for all this money that they found right? Not going to happen. Back to this bill. So, according to Punchbowl News, included in the possible chopping block is Medicaid, including benefits for enrollees, sources told Punchbowl. Some House Republicans are skeptical about the proposal while they look at $4.7 trillion in tax cuts. House Republicans and the Senate remain at odds over how to pass a budget bill that would include tax cuts plus spending on border security and energy policy, bulwarks of Trump's agenda. Senator Lindsey Graham, chair of the Budget Committee, is planning to mark up his budget resolution that would feature $340 billion in border security and defense spending, despite pleas from Speaker Mike Johnson to stand down. I hope the House will move forward soon, says Graham, but we cannot allow this moment to pass, and we cannot let President Trump's America First agenda stall. To which Johnson responded, I appreciate the Senate's zeal. We have that in the House as well. But as I reminded my friend Lindsey, I have about 170 additional personalities to deal with, and he's only got 53. House Republicans hope to pass everything in one single reconciliation bill, while Senate Republicans prefer to extend Trump's tax cuts in a second bill later this year. Johnson's slim majority means he can afford few Republican defectors if Democrats stand united in opposition. It's a big question. Will Democrats stand in opposition? Right? We talked about this a bit yesterday. Republicans are worried about the political fallout of cutting Medicaid. Gee, you think? And making changes to other social safety nets while pushing for tax cuts for wealthy Americans and corporations, Punchbowl reported. I'll be blunt. Medicaid isn't just something for people who don't want to work or on welfare. Jeff Van Drew from New Jersey told Punchbowl. 70 million people in this country get their health care through Medicaid because we increase the limits. So it's a budget fight. It's a budget fight for our lives. It is a fight for, I don't even know anymore. Hey, Chris, how you doing, man? Good to see you again.
Yeah, man, good to see you. Traveling for work, so if I'm a little bit quiet, I've just got done taking that post-work nap. But yeah, so here's the danger of what everything you just said. The typical American doesn't realize how Trump's artificially inflating the deficit. So when you drop the tax rates too fast and then you increase spending elsewhere, you have to compensate for the missing tax revenue from dropping that corporate tax rate and then increasing the spending, right? So you're decreasing our ability to collect revenue to pay for the border or these
Correct.
other programs. And with
Which
Medicare,
spikes the deficit like it did the first time, right?
exactly. And Medicare, and that executive order that got shot down, thank the Lord, to get rid of things like, food stamps, EBT, that
Right.
actually brings 3.2 million people annually out of the S&P SPM poverty index.
Correct.
So he's essentially creating more poverty and artificially increasing the deficits by just going after the completely wrong things. And he's selling this idea that tariffs are going to compensate for all this when we went in the negative the first time.
Right, but Chris, I mean, the billionaires need another tax cut, buddy.
Yeah, of course, because trickle down economics works. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, they're generous with their money. They'll make sure that people get what they need, right? They'll pay their employees more. They'll offer them more benefits. They'll consider health care. Of course, we know all that. Said no one ever. But you're right. I mean, I again, to me, it's the hypocrisy. To me, it's the claim that the Republicans will not go after Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and this is literally them going after Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare. That's what it is.
What I believe, I think somebody said in the comments already, if there's a Medicare cut, a large amount of people on WIC also get cut. And WIC is one of those 4 programs that brings those millions of people out of poverty every single year. So this is just not a good idea.
No, it's not. I mean, I just think about what you're right. I'm glad you brought that up. Initially, that first round of executive orders that I think freaked all of us out, right? People who believe in respecting work, who believe in a government that supports those that need it, like going after Head Start programs and WIC benefits and school lunches for kids. And for me, I talk about this a lot about half a billion dollars in childhood cancer research, things like that impacted my family directly. And here we are once again. People in our country are going to be who depend on their SSDI, who depend on their Medicaid, all of a sudden it's gone. For what? For what?
So what I believe the overall cost we're seeing of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act this time around, I believe is 4 trillion. And from the first time around, it actually ended up negative in revenue to pay for the bill. So that bill itself, instead of adding the 1.9 like it did the first time, it's actually going to double that effect. So I'm seeing close to, if he keeps this up, like a $10 trillion deficit spend at least this time around with his other
It
policies.
seems like it. I forgot the initial pass, the initial math from the House bill, and I have it here. This was at least proposed. It said, where is it? 4.5 trillion for tax cuts, $300 billion increase in mandatory spending, 1.5 trillion in spending cuts, assuming a 2.8% economic growth. The math ain't mathing.
So how is it? We had the same bill, a little bit less, but there was negative zero point 0.8 GDP growth. So I don't know where he's getting that number from.
Me neither.
That's insane.
Me neither. I appreciate you, buddy, as always. Be safe out there. Thanks for
Yeah,
jumping
man,
in.
just want to hop up for a little bit. Sorry about that. You have a good one.
You too, bud. See you later. Take care. We love Chris. He's great. We got to do a live with him. I learned so much. I love people's brains. Let me see if I can find this other piece here. Okay. All right. We'll bring up Tina. Yes, I know, 350K. That's fine. I get it. Doesn't take much to embarrass me. You guys know that. Good morning, Tina. How are you today?
I'm here. How about yourself?
Same.
My whole thing is I'm on disability. So where are they going to put me if they take my benefits away? Because I'm going to be on the street. I'm going to have to go to the ER for any medication and medical things I need, and they're going to have to cover the cost. So that's going to put an extra strain on the hospitals. It's going to put an extra strain on the government somehow, because somebody's going to have to do something. But I'm going to be on the street, or I'm going to be in a camp. I can't go live with my mom. They're on Social Security. So how does that work?
They don't have an answer for you, Tina.
I know.
That's their goal, though. That's their goal, to enrich themselves on the backs of people like you.
I know.
Sadly, I mean, somebody talked about, don't forget, one of the agenda items of Agenda 47 was to ban urban camping, meaning you can't even sleep on the street. You'll be arrested.
Right. So they're going to put me in a camp somewhere. I'm not physically able to work. So what are they going to do? Are they going to do away with me because I'm useless to them? I mean, I don't know. And how soon? How soon am I going to lose everything I have and be in a camp somewhere? And are they going to give you any medications while you're in these camps? It's terrifying.
Likely not.
It's absolutely terrifying. I have hives that I've had since 2003. I live with chronic hives. They don't give me anything for the itching, for the allergies, for the problems. I'm not going to be able to live with that. Like, I can barely live with it with the medicines I'm taking. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm sorry. I don't mean to bring everybody down. I don't know what to do.
You don't need to apologize, Tina. I mean, that's why we're talking about it, because it is real. This is real life. This is not imaginary. We they're now discussing it. Elon Musk calling Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, veterans benefits, disability, calling it fraud. That is just it is just damaging. and harmful and dangerous.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people that I come to know through TikTok, fortunately, that are in the same boat. We're all chronically ill. We all have health issues. We're all on disability. They take that away and we're screwed. Some of us won't survive. I'm sorry.
I no, you don't. Again, you don't need to apologize, Tina. Are you by chance in our Discord?
No, sir.
You are.
No, I'm not, but I can definitely join.
I would.
I
I
don't
would.
do a lot in Discord, but I can join.
Yeah, I would encourage mods if you guys wouldn't mind reaching out to Tina. The reason I suggest that, and this goes to anyone, right?
Mhm.
We've developed a really strong community, not just here every day, but in our Discord in particular, where there's a lot of people in there that are going through the same thing that you're going through. We have mutual aid channels, we have mental health channels, we have resource channels. So I would encourage you. And now that I've asked, I know my mods will probably direct message you. So check your direct message. And for those of you who are interested, you can join the Discord. The link is in the link tree that's in my bio. Please do that. It is. We've worked really hard here to create this community. And it's times like this when our community has stepped up. We're not going to have all the answers for you, Tina,
Of
but
course.
even just commiseration, quite frankly,
Yeah.
sometimes helps.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you, and I love your show, and I continue doing the awesome work you're doing.
I appreciate you, Tina. Hang in there. We'll talk soon,
Thank
okay?
you.
All
Bye
right.
bye.
It's real life, ladies and gentlemen. It's real life. It's real life. It's not team sport. It's not tribal politics. It's real life. That this is what's happening. This is what we told people. Every day for 2 years, I sat in this space and I told people what was going to happen. And people called me all kinds of names, said I was inciting violence, said I was fear mongering, said I was being hyperbolic. Everybody else does the same thing every single day. We've been telling everybody, we told you guys this was going to happen. And we were wrong because it's been much worse, quite frankly. When we have, the complaint was unelected bureaucrats shouldn't be in government. There was a tenet of Project 2025 to eliminate the deep state, as they said, unelected bureaucrats. And meanwhile, you have an unelected bureaucrat standing next to the Resolute desk, lying to the American people, claiming that he's going to be transparent when he's not, excusing the mistake he made about $50 million in condoms sent to Gaza. It was the wrong Gaza. It was a province in Africa, Mozambique to be specific, helping that country defend itself against HIV, AIDS, and other STDs. And he was like, yeah, well, I'm not going to be right all the time. And the president of the United States went in front of the American people and said, you know what they found? I'll just play the audio because I think it's necessary to hear it because it's so freaking disturbing. This is what's happened, right? Remember this video?
We are merely looking at parts of the big bureaucracy where there has been tremendous waste and fraud and abuse. In that process, we identified and stopped $50 million being sent to Gaza to buy condoms for Hamas. 50 million. And you know what's happened to them? They've used them as a method of making bombs. How about that?
Not true. Didn't happen. During that presser yesterday, Elon stood in the Oval Office and admitted that he was wrong, lied to the American people, said, yeah, I'm probably not going to get all my facts right. Well, you went out and published it. And in the same interview, he said, well, we will publish a retraction if necessary. There's been no retraction about that. And they're still talking about it in right-wing circles. And people voted for that. And then Tina, who was just here, maybe out on the street or in a camp. And guess what? There are Trump supporters whose moms and aunts and dads and grandparents are also on SSDI, Medicaid, whatever that might be. they're going to be out on the street too. Are you going to take them in? Do you have money? You got room in your double wide? You going to take them in? This is real life. Children going hungry, women losing their life because they can't get reproductive health care. Hi, Tona. How you doing? Tona, are you there?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it was an accident. But I do appreciate everything you do.
No problem. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
This is a time, right, where if you continue, if people, look, we've had some difficult conversations with what I deem as protest voters this week, and discouraging, quite frankly, because I think they hold as much responsibility as does MAGA in this situation, as does, Republicans who voted for this, because they knew it was going to happen and they just didn't care. So protest voters who now realize the error of their ways, but are now planning to run, take their family and leave. And then you leave the steaming pile of shit behind you for everybody else to have to defend. And you voted for, and oftentimes you're a member of a marginalized community that is going to be erased. And your response to that, after you did your protest vote for a cause, whether it be pro-Palestine, and then you hear the president of the United States saying, we're just going to take it. We're going to take it. We don't care. We're just going to take it. We're going to let Israel finish the job. We're just going to take it. And now your response to that is to run. How dare you? How dare you? Hi, Jen. How are you?
Hi. So just kind of along the lines of this, I am actually, and I'm probably going to cry because it makes me really sad that I have to do this, but I have to sell my home and move in with my parents just because they have a larger home than I do, to preemptively make sure that they're taken care of if their Social Security is gone. I'm still unsure what we'll do about their medical care, if that goes away. So it's rough. It's rough. I'm, a 43-year-old woman that's been independent since I was 17, and I now have to move in with my parents to make sure that they're taken care of, not because they're ailing, but simply because their livelihood is going to be could be taken away from them, along with their medical care. So it's scary, and I'm angry. I'm not just sad about the situation. I'm pissed. I think it's ridiculous.
I'm glad you're pissed. You should be pissed.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous, and I mean it's just it's gross. And anybody who voted for this is absolutely fucking vile. Just the most vile people. There's no way anyone with any sort of moral compass would have voted for that intentionally. I can't. I still can't wrap my mind around the brains of MAGA. Like, I don't get it. So, I'm doing my part. I'm involved. I'm in Oklahoma, unfortunately. But I do work with our local Democratic Party. We only have two because, again, it's Oklahoma. So we've got Tulsa and Oklahoma City. So, I work with them to do what we need to do to try to change minds of Oklahomans and get something better here at least. But yeah, I'm angry. I'm angry. And our turd of a governor just sits in Trump's pocket and he's got the biggest orange ring around his mouth I've ever seen in my life. So anyway, I just wanted to vent a little bit and express that I understand the fear of the loss of the benefits. Not for me personally right now, but for my parents' sake. Um, my sister and her partner, who her partner is a MAGA, he is on disability as well. And he has Medicaid. So, I mean, if it wasn't so sad for my parents potentially losing their benefits, I would say, haha, fuck you, you voted for it, and let him just eat up the fact he doesn't have any benefits. But it affects everyone, not just MAGA.
Everybody, and based on socio-demographics, oftentimes it's going to affect MAGA worse in many cases.
Yeah.
Just because
Yeah,
a lot of the
because
states that they vote out of are subsidized by blue states, and they get a lot of federal subsidies, and they get a lot of Medicaid, Medicare, welfare support, and they're the ones that are going to be harmed the most, quite frankly.
absolutely.
Well, obviously,
I'm
marginalized communities are always going to be harmed the most, but
yeah.
you know what I mean. Yep.
Being from Oklahoma, I can attest to that. We have a very, very high poverty rate here. I mean, it is, yeah, this state is very impoverished. And we take a lot of blue state dollars for sure. So yeah, it's going to affect people here more than I think that they care to admit now that it's in kind of rolling.
Sorry, I got a little just sort of distracted there for a second, but I just wanted to say that I don't mean for these conversations to be so intense and heavy. And somebody just asked this question. Yeah, my mental health sucks right now.
No, me too.
No doubt about it. It sucks, and I'm working through some shit like we all are. But we have to talk about this stuff, and I don't ever mean to. If it ever comes across as me, tokenizing someone's suffering to try to get the message across, I'm not intending to try to do that. I just think it's important to hear stories about people as upsetting as it is, in my hopes that it motivates someone to do something. That's the goal here. I mean, it's got to be, we have to do something. We have to. And I worry because I've seen it too often where people talk a good game and they don't show up. Gen Z voters did not show up, and they need to be shamed for that. They did not show up. Marginalized groups out here fighting every single day, and they continue, especially black women, standing up in defense of democracy for everybody. And who the fuck shows up for them? Nobody. And here we are. We have Nazis in our government. We have an oligarchs taking over our government, making people like Tina and Jen's family and our family suffer so that they can enrich themselves. This is real. I mean, our mainstream media is not going to talk about it this way. We're going to talk about it. It's going to fucking hurt, and it's going to be painful, and people are going to lose their lives, and there's going to be people that are going to be, self-unaliving because of this distress. People are going to be making horrible decisions. People have made decisions already based on what they thought was going to be a future. I was never relying on my Social Security, but hey, it's my money. I've been paying into it since I was like 14 years old. And I want it back. I want it back every dime with interest. I want it back, all of it.
Agreed. I want that, and I want my Medicare that I paid into to secure my health care in the future. I want that shit. I've paid into it since I was 14 years old. I want all of it.
Me too. Thanks for jumping in, Jen. I
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you for everything you do. Have a good day.
You too. See you later. Listen, we don't have, how am I going to say this? Everybody would agree, I think, that we would want to have a government that is efficient. And I think we can all agree that it's not. I think we could all agree that we would like to have a better understanding of where our money goes. I think that's fair. But this ain't the way to do it. You can look at, I think it's the next 7 to 10 countries combined spend less on their defense than we do. the military and industrial complex enriching themselves, defense contracts going to people like Elon Musk, billions of dollars in subsidies that he gets on the back of the American taxpayer, and he's the one that's telling us that there's reckless spending. What was the bill to the taxpayers? Like $10 million for his first week of work with himself and his assistant camp counselors in training, right? And people are going to be houseless because of this. People who depend on SSDI barely make it monthly as it is. Barely make it. So the world's richest man, who's soon to be a trillionaire, is telling people that their SDI is a waste of money. The world's richest man, again, soon to be a trillionaire, is saying that we can't afford WIC and school lunches and breakfasts. The world's richest man, who's soon to be a trillionaire, tells us that we can't be investing in our own infrastructure and our own healthcare. And MAGA believes it. And they think that that's wasteful spending. I don't know.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing all right, getting ready to go to work, which, we Democrats just don't do.
Right, we don't work. Yeah, we don't work.
I got a quick question.
Ask.
So, going back to the thing about like New York, California, we pay all these things for other states. What are the chances that those states will just say, look, we're not doing it anymore?
I don't know how you would do that.
I
don't know the mechanism as to how that would work. Like, I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, it would be nice.
Part of the state contract is federal tax dollars go from your state to support the federal government to pay for these things.
All right. The other thing I'm thinking is, like, what if progressives, liberals, Democrats just didn't do their taxes this year?
Everybody's got to make up their own mind. I mean, I've gone back and forth with my accountant on various things. Obviously I've got a tax returns are necessary when you fill out FAFSA. Anybody's ever done that when you've got kids that plan to go to college?
Yeah.
There's things that you need to have done, so it becomes complicated. But
I just feel like,
I think everything's on the table. I
feel like
everything should be on the table.
To hit these people because they're billionaire class. It's just money. We've got to figure out a way to hit their pocket, like in a substantial way. And if they're going to take everything away anyway, we might as well. Why are we paying taxes then? Why do I want to pay that if they're just going to take it away from people?
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the way the Trump tax code worked the first time, the majority of Americans, I think it's like 88% of Americans aren't going to get the benefit of the TCJA anymore. So maybe that's a decision people will make. And I don't want to fearmonger somebody saying, hey, if you don't pay your taxes, you're going to go to jail. No, you're not. They're not going to come after each individual taxpayer.
Yeah, not if enough people did it for sure too.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's things like that. Again, we as consumers, like, what are you willing to do? Are you still buying products from Walmart? And I understand, or Walmart or Amazon. I understand based on need. I get it. I understand. We are a system, our capitalist society. We're a system of consumers, and we are entitled Americans. All of us used to having whatever we need at our fingertips. Maybe we have to start thinking about living our lives differently.
Absolutely.
Because again,
And one last thing.
Money is money.
Yeah. One last thing. Earlier you were saying that for 2 years you sat in your chair and said, these things. And you said that MAGA was saying that you were being hyperbolic. Let's be honest. They didn't use that word.
Fair enough.
Just going to say that word was, I don't see that coming from MAGA. But anyway,
They think that's like an add-on to their Hemi V8, a hyperbolic add-on to their transmission or whatever the fuck it is. But whatever.
Nice.
That's a fair point.
All right. Anyway, have a good morning. Try and smile. Try and look at some of the positives that are happening. They are out there, guys. They are out there.
Yeah, the revolution is everywhere if you know where to look. I appreciate you, Delta. Thanks for being here.
Bye.
It's a fair statement, right? They don't know what that means, right? Look, all right. People are talking about a nationwide strike. I think things like that, and Ben said it yesterday. We were talking about that. If labor unions, if people just did not go to work, if you said, listen, I've got nothing to lose, you know, at this point, I'm a small business owner, and I decide when I work. I work when I'm not doing this. I work, and I work to all hours of the night sometimes, depending on what it is, because that's what you do when you're a small business owner. I was sitting fat. I was a member. I sat as a C-suiter. My last job, I've talked about that. I was working for a Fortune 500 company. I was doing very well, but I was also questioning my own set of values and beliefs, right? And I'm like, shit, I don't know if I want to be doing this anymore. This is not what I want to do. I was good at my job. I made a difference in the company that I worked with, but I said, you know what? I'm going to go out on my own. Would I have made that same decision knowing what I know now? I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say, um, because of where I probably would have, just because it's the same issue. I was tired of corporations getting rich on the back of people, and I was tired of all that kind of stuff. So I probably still would have made that decision. But would I have made it as quickly as I did? Probably not. But it comes down to dollars and cents. Everybody's got to make their own decision, but it's going to require sacrifice. Think of it this way historically. Think of the marginalized communities that are constantly impacted by our society. Even when things are going well for the majority of us, it's still marginalized groups that take it on the chin. And they stand and fight every single day. They fight to exist. They fight just to be counted. And now people who look like me, especially cis white hetero men with fucking privilege, use it. Don't go to work. Pick a day. I wish everybody could galvanize around shit like that, because that, and I don't necessarily agree with Ben saying that they would be begging and pleading with us to come back. Do you want universal health care? What can we do? I think that's a start. A nationwide strike where hundreds of millions of workers walk out of the job and say, we're not coming back until shit gets fixed. Go after their money. That's what they want. They are going to enrich themselves, and they will make people suffer, and they will laugh about it, and they will step over the bodies on the way to their next plane, on the way to their next vacation, on their way to their next, whatever it might be. It's got to be something. Good morning, friend. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm good. I'm here. How's everyone doing? I'm hearing some heavy conversations.
Yeah, we've had some real life examples of people having to move out of their house and move in with their parents because their parents are afraid their parents are going to lose their Social Security and their Medicaid. And now we're seeing Elon Musk talking about it, calling Medicaid and Social Security the biggest fraud ever. Like, here we
Yeah.
are. Here we
Good
are.
morning, friends. I wanted to speak on this a little bit because I do hear all the concerns that people are having. And I think that people, like I even heard Mishi, I've been listening since Mishi and Val were up here. So speaking on anyone who is feeling everything that's going on, I want you to understand that if I seem calm, or there are some of us who seem calm, it's because we've been preparing for this for a while. It doesn't mean that our mental health isn't taking a shit. Doesn't mean that we aren't struggling with these things. But here's how we fix it. We fix it together. So I'm going to need you to lean into your comfort TV shows. I'm going to need you to lean into those. Go pet your cat, pet your dog, go out and sit in the sunlight if it's not raining, like it's raining here in Tennessee today. Do the things that help you. Put your phone down. But know when you pick your phone back up, the fight starts again. Because we have to keep pushing back. All those things that you've learned to cope with everything that's going on, those are going to be what you're going to lean into hard right now. It's going to be hard. Build your community, lean in on your community, lean in our community. We are here for you. We can do this together. But yeah, volunteer your local animal shelter. Become a foster, like for kittens. If you want chaos and joy in your life, bring a kitten into your home. It will perk up your entire household. Mm-hmm. It's also the little chaos agents, and we love them, and they're sweet. And then you give them a loving home, and then they go to their home afterwards. Do the things that help you, because building this community, building and leaning into your coping mechanisms are what it's going to do. I did see a golden retriever puppy in the chat. I think that was specifically a call out for you, Steve.
Nope, it was not. I didn't see that.
But a
Right
puppy
over
would be
my head.
so cute. Be so
Mhm.
cute.
Mhm.
Also, hi Silver Facts. Look, we gotta smile. We gotta
Yeah.
do the thing. I know a lot of people are like, feel it.
I mean, everything you say is right, and I don't always want to be, living in this state, but we also got to call balls and strikes around here.
Yeah.
I think it's our job to point these things out, because you and I both know mainstream media is not going to talk about it the way we do. They're not.
No.
They are not going to talk about it. They're just as bad. We certainly know that Fox is what they are, and OAN and Newsmax. But if people are expecting to get breakdowns of things and historical connections and all the ins and outs of what these executive orders mean and how they line up, you're not going to get that there. You're going to get that from people like me and from Matt and from others who care about this shit, because we're in this fight too. Am I scared? You're damn right I am. I am absolutely scared. But I'm not getting any younger, and I'm in this fight, and I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a shit what happens to me. I don't care. I don't care. And Victoria talked me into that. She's the one that actually convinced me, to say that you're probably on a watch list somewhere, and I still have a hard time putting that into my brain, but I have to accept that, and I don't give a shit. I do not care. I don't. I'm here to defend. I'm here to defend people who can't defend themselves. I'm here to use my fucking privilege. I'm here to use it, and I'm gonna use it until my last breath. Seriously.
Yeah. Thinking on that, I had a little noodle. I noodled on this for a moment while you were speaking, because this reminds me: if you're not willing to fight for your democracy, fight for me. I'm putting my neck on the line. Fight for Steve. Steve is putting his neck on the line. USMC angry veteran Matt putting his neck on the line. Ben putting his neck on the line. We are doing the work. If you can't, if I can motivate you to do anything, stand with me. I don't need you to punch a Nazi. I don't need you. I'll do it. I'll happily do it with a massive smile on my face and a nice little fuck you at the end. I will do it, but I need you to stand with me. I want you to stand with me. You definitely will feel better, because here we all remember Hunger Games, where they talk about hope. Hope is the only thing stronger than fear. And right now, they want you to be afraid. They want you to feel hopeless, because if you are hopeless, you're not a threat. So lean into the hope. Lean into my message. Lean into the idea that for a fact I'm going to tell Marjorie Taylor Greene some things when I go to Congress. When I go. Because we can fight this. Lean into my hope. I will give it to you in bucketfuls, and then I will give you some more, and I'll have a glass of wine in the back after, for when we're having the thing. We can do this, guys. Or water, if we need it to stay hydrated, because I know some of you don't drink enough water. Specifically, it's a Matt call out. Matt, drink some more water today.
Yes, Matt.
Please, 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 please get involved. Pick one thing. Please, I will record the fuck out of that. You guys know I'm petty.
Petty AF.
So fucking petty. So petty. But yeah, do the thing today. Lean into the hope. You can do this. God, I fucking hate that people are saying moist in the chat. Jesus Christ.
They love you. That's why they're saying it.
They do. They do. I don't know why you guys love me. I'm just a feral, tiny person who just has too much rage in their body. So when I go to Congress, we're gonna do this.
So everybody in the chat. So every time that Victoria makes me blush, you direct message her the word moist.
Jesus
so that might change things a bit. Yes, feral as fuck. I think it's a really, really good call out, Victoria, and I'm glad. And I've become friends with so many people in this space, and I'm selective about the people that I want to bring into my life. And I've talked to Victoria about this before. I have no expectation that she'll trust me. In fact, I would expect her not to. Just that's the world that we live in, with the dynamic between men and women in particular. But I'll stand and fight with her. There's no doubt about it. I just, if we have to do it alone, we have to do it alone. But we can't just expect others to continue to do it. We just can't expect the fact that black women every fucking time we ask stand up and fight, and they likely will have to fight again because of entitled white women and because of apathetic, ridiculous, and selfish, bigoted, misogynistic white men. So I think it's good advice.
I mean, and
I think it's good
it's
advice.
it's one of those things too, like this is not going to be fun. If you think that we're in it for a good time, I'm gonna burst that bubble.
Yeah, not fun.
But we can do that. We can make action and neutralize them, and we can, bring our democracy back and make it better.
And just imagine how great it would be. Will be. Just imagine how great it will be. How great it will feel. Like we talked about this earlier. There's a time in our life now. Our country's 250 years old. All of us are here for a reason. If you believe in that kind of stuff, right? We're all here for a reason. This is our fight now, and we're gonna do. What are we gonna do about it? I'm angry. Yeah. Again, my mental health sucks. No doubt about it. But that's just being honest. But I'm not gonna lie down. Hi, Sarah. How are you today?
Hi, I'm really good. How are you guys doing?
We are doing.
Good.
We are doing. Thank
I'm
you for being here.
angry and
Yeah,
petty.
Team
that
angry.
that is how I'm feeling too. I've been up here before, and I was right after the election, because I'm a student teacher and I'm about to be done and graduated in like a month, and I can
Congratulations.
start teaching elementary kids. Yeah, thank you. But now I'm like in my angry mode, and like I'm ready to just use everything I have to fight. That's why I became a teacher, was for like the future of the world and to be that support for kids. So I'm just sorry, I'm really nervous. So I'm trying
Don't
to
be.
like channel that energy into me, because like it's okay to be sad and stuff, but I don't want to let that control me. So I'm trying to let my anger fuel me. So
First of all, let me say this, Sarah. Knowing what we know about how teachers are just not very well respected in our country, to say the least, anybody who's ever been in the profession, I have nothing but tremendous respect for. And for somebody like you, who's now just starting to go into the profession, you have my utmost respect. Thank you for doing it, because it's things like that. It's
yeah.
people like you that have passion, who know what the priorities should be, that are doing it. So thank you for that.
Doing amazing things. I'm here
Thank
to
you.
protect
No,
your
thank you so
education.
much. Yeah, exactly. No, I truly appreciate people like both of you so much, because teachers are so important, and it makes me sick the way things are going now with the Department of Education and everything. I know that's always been like their goal, is to tear it down. And I just, I'm just going to be here and continue to fight. And even though I live in a blue state, I will never like fold and teach Christian nationalism, and I will never do that. So I'm just going to continue to try to be the best teacher I can and not follow what this administration is doing. So
I think you'll be amazing, Sarah. I can tell just by talking to you. But thank you for being here. I appreciate you very
Thank
much.
you.
And wins,
thank
hearts
you.
of the
Yeah, I
heart.
hope.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say thank you so much for letting me come up and talk and everything. And I want to say, yeah, to just keep fighting. And thank you both so, so much, like a trillion times. And I hope you both have a wonderful day and a good week. So,
Thank you,
Have
Sarah.
a
You too.
lovely day.
Be safe out there.
yeah,
Thank you, Sarah.
thank you. You too. Bye.
Everybody fight for Sarah.
Fight for
Okay?
Sarah.
Everybody fight for Sarah. It's a person who's committed to their career in education, because you go into teaching and you do it. The plan is you're going to do it for life. Right?
Yep.
I've stood here and said, I believe we should be overfunding public education in our country. I want teachers to be sought after. I want school districts across the country to be fighting for teachers, to have the best teachers. You know, again, if you claim to be the greatest country on earth, which we're not even close, then why don't we have the absolute best education in the world? I want teachers to be highly paid. I want overfunding. I want the best schools. I want the best resources. People who care about those things are progressives. People like Victoria, people like Gay. And it's another opportunity for me to mention that coming up on Monday, 9:00 Eastern time, right here. Be doing a one-on-one interview with Gay Valamont. Gay is running in District 1, special election coming up in Florida. That election is on April 1st. You have to register. I think registration closes in 18 days. I was reading that. So please, if you've not yet registered to vote and you're in those districts, please do so. I encourage everybody to be involved. Go to their website. Also, Josh Wheel is running in Florida as well. Same date, special election to fill 2 vacant seats in the House. Democrats win both of those seats, all legislation stops. There is no progress. Then that special election in upstate New York, which is not far from me, right across the lake, across the pond. That would be a potential for Democrats to flip that seat. That means Hakeem Jeffries is the Speaker of the House. That's how important this is.
And these districts are winnable. Here's the thing. We can all say that it's not winnable, it's not winnable. Runoff and non-presidential elections are ways that we can flip seats. Like, Democrats tend to show up more. Use your rage. Use that. If you're not in Florida State, if you're not in New York State, blow up every single one of these accounts on every social media. Take 2 hours out of your day and just interact with everything. Watch it to the end, share it, like it, send it to 10 friends. Keep doing it, because the more you interact, the more that we get this messaging out there, the more people in those areas that see it, that see that there are people ready to support them, is the thing. We need voter turnout. That's what's going to flip seats. That's what's going to make the difference. You know, I saw the comment of the dude in here, and I did invite him up here, where he was saying, I'm gonna lose my election. I can't tell you how fucking stupid that statement is, because Tennessee vote is 51st in voter turnout. If every Democrat in Tennessee showed up, we would be a purple state. So I don't care if you think I'm going to lose. I'm not here. It's not a win-lose situation. I'm here to represent the people. The people deserve better representation. Fuck your little party and your book club that you think is so fun. I don't care. My job is to represent the people, and Tennessee is not a red state. It is a heavily, heavily gerrymandered state, and it's run by a supermajority that gives zero about the Tennesseans. I care because I'm a working class Tennessean. We can flip all these seats. Let's do it.
We have an example. I think it's the state Senate seat in Iowa. It was a district that was won by Trump plus 21, and the Democrat flipped that seat plus 10. So it's a 31-point swing in Iowa. So it's possible. I think what I hear, though, this concerns me, is people say, well, it's too red, or, you know, it's really heavily gerrymandered, so there's no way. Then you might as well just give up now. Pack your bags and leave. If that's the attitude you're going to have. So there you go. Yeah. Okay. Bring up Sherry. Hey, AC, I see you, buddy. I'll bring up in a minute. All right. It's 11 o'clock. Everybody, please continue to like and share the live. Let's see if we can we haven't had 500K in a while, guys. I would appreciate you all.
Do it, and I'll say the thing again.
Do it. Go for it.
Do it.
Go for
Do
it.
it.
Do it. Do it. Hey, now. Hey, Sherry, how are you today?
Good morning, guys. You hear me okay? I just got a call in. It wasn't a good call, so I hope I'm coming through okay.
We got you. Sound great.
Okay. I just want to know that since the election, I'm an 71-year-old retiree. I worked all my life. I worked in the medical field. I did medical billing and coding and all that good stuff. But as a white woman, it was who's done a lot of work with her own deal. I have had a really hard time, like when the Super Bowl was on and they played the national anthem, and it was beautifully done. It was really hard for me to feel the same as I've always felt when it's played. And that was really hard for me because I grew up with a World War II dad. You know, he was one of the ones that stormed the beach in Normandy.
Antifa.
So I was always taught to love our country. But I'm not real proud of our country. And that was a hard pill to swallow. It still is.
Sure.
And for an older person, you know. And so I've been working on, okay, so you feel that way, Sherry, so what are you going to do and how are you going to change things? with the racism, and I just didn't think my country was like that. I guess I was a very naive, and I'm a little Pollyanna. So anyway, I think that it's just, and I have been angry. Facts, just like you, I'm angry. I'm angry at the country. I have 6 grandchildren, and 5 of them are girls. And
Everybody fight for Sherry's grandchildren, her 5 granddaughters. Fight for them.
yes, and we have to. I even though I broke both my hips this year and everything else, but I can still get on the phone, and I can still do send out mailers, and I can do things like that. And I live in the middle of Texas, where in a very red area, and so that's a little difficult at times too.
Sure.
But you can let people know how you feel, and everybody, of course, they tell me my friends tell me I'm uninformed and all that good stuff, but I just tell them how I feel, and I'm trying to take lessons. I listen to Danny a lot, and she's helped me a lot to realize to get past my anger, and make it, and get good to use it, to do things that I'm able to do, calling and I mean, poor Brian Babbitt. I'm sure that he's tired of hearing from me up in Congress, because I call him almost every day. And Ted Cruz and Mike Johnson.
Keep calling.
And I thought that our country had a constitution.
It does.
And I don't understand. I mean, and I've also been thinking about the farmers. I did not realize that the farmers were, when he shut down the Reduction Act, the Biden's
Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah, that one. That it was how bad it hurt the farmers. And I saw a clip from farmers who voted for Trump and how sorry they were for the vote.
Self-reflection. I know. Sherry, you're right. I mean, everybody, I just want to remind everybody once again to vote for...
Listen, I got to go real quick. I have a nurse coming in to check on me, so I got to drop down. But y'all are doing a good fight, and let's all keep our chins up. Because that's what we got to do.
I appreciate you.
Love you all.
I love you too.
Love you.
Vote for Sherry. Vote for Sherry's grandchildren. Vote for Sherry's dogs. Obviously, everybody needs a dog, Cookie, a dog in their life. Everybody needs a dog in their life, and pet your dog. That will make you feel better. Just a dog. I'm just saying.
Two.
Just
It
one.
needs a friend.
Nope.
Needs a friend.
He's got
a little
friend.
love.
It's me and my daughter. He's got a friend.
Yeah, but a puppy friend.
Nope, does not. Thank you though. Nice try. Appreciate you. Good try. AC Buddy does not look like you're connected. If you want to request again, I'll bring you right back up. It's weird. Some people connect right away and some people don't. All right, White Wolf.
I just want to recognize Matt's body parts and stent that have made their way to your chat.
Yeah, I noticed that Matt's stent showed up. That's cool. What an awesome thing. That is so great. He gets around.
He does get around. He caught a live band last night.
That's funny. Hey,
I
Cece.
won't repeat.
Hello. How are you?
We're good. Yes, I'm just here to keep Victoria company. She's in charge.
Okay.
Oh dear. Well, I came up to apologize about Matt's body parts flooding your chat.
It's all right. I mean, we don't judge. We listen.
We listen and we do not judge.
You'll hear it's my fault, but it's Victoria's fault. So I just wanted to put that out there.
What is it not?
Oh my God.
It's totally Victoria's fault.
I mean, it is my fault because I announced to the entire world that I was personally victimized by Matt Stent. And then I also asked him to send me his stent that he took a picture of.
That's just nasty.
Yeah.
Apparently I'm unhinged. I didn't know.
So since you're live, you're missing some good stuff in the Doge hearing or whatever it is. So
Great.
Garcia just came up and said, well, since MTG decided to bring a dick pic to the floor the last time, that he was going to bring one, and then he showed a picture of Musk and called him President Elon.
Who did that?
Garcia.
Oh, really?
Hilarious.
Wow, that's the best.
Hilarious.
See? It's that kind of stuff. Listen, I think they should be as petty as they possibly can. Like that whole situation with McGovern from Massachusetts. I think that's his name. Calling out Byron Donalds for a proxy vote when they changed the rules. And Byron Donalds one that went public saying something to the effect of, "We don't vote by proxy, we only vote in person." And Byron Donalds went to appear on Bill Maher's show, voted via proxy, and got called out for it. And they didn't do anything in the Republican caucus. The vote was for, I forget specifically, it would have passed anyway. There was enough votes. That's not the point. The point is that a pregnant woman who happens to be a Democrat was out on maternity. She was not granted the ability to vote via proxy, but Byron Donalds was, whereas the rules in the current House do not allow for proxy voting. He did it anyway. He was called out as voter fraud. There you go. That's how you fucking throw that shit right in their face. Make them defend it. That's the question, though. Make them defend it. Force them to defend it. Where's the news media? If I was standing in front of Mike Johnson with a microphone, I would be like, Mike, why do you have a rule in place that says you can't have a proxy vote and let one of your members vote via proxy? Well, no, that's not the question I asked. Listen, I'll talk slower for you, you fucking idiot. Why do you let members of your party vote via proxy when there are rules against it, but yet you denied a Democrat? Why is that, Mike? Well, we're going to talk about... No, answer my damn question, you fucking idiot. Answer it. I want to do that. By the way, if anybody has any... I did not get my press credentials that I applied for to the White House. They denied me. Shocker. But I did it anyway, and I'm going to keep applying.
Keep doing it.
I want to be there. I want to be in the lion's den. I hope they drag me away in handcuffs. Seriously. That's what I'm going to do. It's going to happen. I find it ironic that Marjorie Taylor Greene is in charge of running this committee. In the last Congress, she literally showed a dick pic in an oversight hearing. So I thought I would bring one as well. And then he showed a picture of President Elon Musk. That's Robert Garcia. That's how you get shit done. I love that.
I was like, I gotta tell him all. I gotta go tell him. That was so good.
I want to address this comment. People who said this, why don't I run for Congress? I'm fortunate that we have one representative in our state because of the size of our state. Her name is Becca Ballant. She is great. She's an incredible rep. She's very transparent when it comes to communicating with her office. Not perfect. There's been some questionable votes, but I understand based on talking to her office. In fact, I've talked to her on the phone about this. So that's why I'm not going to run for Congress, because I have good representation.
You actually have good representation, where mine is a choice.
Exactly.
He is a whole choice.
Exactly. Yeah. How's it going, Cece, otherwise?
Good. I'm slacking on here. I have a lot of work going on. So my hubby and I started a business that kind of took off a little faster than we anticipated. So
yeah, well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. So I've been neglecting community on here, but I'll get back to it.
I would not say that you're neglecting. You're out fighting. You're doing what you have to do. That's the whole point. We're here to fight. I think we should have a little poll. Who gets arrested first, myself or Victoria?
Look, if I get arrested, I get elected. Just saying.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Maybe we could stage a crime.
What are you? Stop it. Stop it right now. Okay, I'm stepping in.
Now where somebody gets harmed, like a little crime. Oh no, that blonde woman took my car. I'm just kidding, TikTok. Education purposes only. I'm just kidding. All right, we'll bring up White Wolf.
It's Victoria.
Yeah,
getting arrested. I already told her husband that if she and I hang out, he's going to need to bring bail money.
All right. I love you guys. I gotta
Listen,
drop down to
I love
organize
you.
some things.
See you
Bye,
later.
guys.
Take care.
Bye.
I was going to say, if that's the case, I want to be there just to videotape that. If you guys are going to go out and do things that might get you arrested, I want to be there for that party for sure.
Mayhem.
White Wolf does not look like you're able to connect, friend. Sorry about that. Thank you for the advice on the little tip on Robert Garcia in that hearing. I think that's the best way to fight back, is to be feral and petty. I love it.
You just need to point these things out. You know, if anything, laugh so we don't cry, right?
Exactly.
But I do have to get back to work.
Thank you, friend. I appreciate you.
You have a
Talk to you
great
later.
day.
You too. Bye. I should have asked Cece about the football game, but that's all right. I'm sure she's happy today. Boxer Mom, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Doing.
Yeah, I hear you. Let me just close this door. Excuse me. I have several things that are written, but I don't know. You know, things have kind of changed a little. So could I give a little satire?
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay. Just one sec, okay?
Thank you, Jody, by the way, for your feral as fuck t-shirt purchase. I appreciate you very much.
Okay, hold on just a sec. I had to go back because I don't know if you know, Steve, but I write a ton of poems.
Yeah, let's pick one. Let's pick a good one.
Yeah, okay. This is satire, okay?
Okay.
All right. I think you could do it much better, okay? But I'll give you it, and then you can make it better, okay?
Okay.
It's called The Great American Fire Sale. Everything must go. Step right up, folks. Welcome to the Great American Fire Sale, where your life savings, your dignity, and even your grandma's insulin are on the chopping block. But don't worry, the billionaires are getting a discount. Veterans benefits? Those are a BOGO deal. Buy one, get another. Because who really needs to support the very people who fought for this country? We've got yachts to fund, people. Those champagne fountains won't pay for themselves. Cancer research? That's on clearance. Why fund life-saving treatments when billionaires need bigger jets? Let's cut that pesky research so little Timmy's chemo can wait. Priority, folks. Federal aid, slash that and burn it. But don't worry, we had $20 million to blow on a Super Bowl ego trip because nothing says leadership like strutting across a football field while kids go hungry and seniors skip meals to afford their meds. But wait, there's more. Farmers half off their livelihoods. Generations of blood, sweat, and tears gone. Because billionaires need another mansion before your family gets to keep the farm. Who needs to locally grow food, right? When you can import it cheaper and after bankrupting the very people who have been feeding this country for centuries. World Health Organization, who cares? Why prevent the next pandemic when you can just wing it and hope for the best? It's cheaper to let people in alive, right? Just don't touch the billionaires' bank accounts and you, well, you're part of the sale too. Your health care liquidated. Your education, it's on a blowout sale. Your future, sold to the highest bidder. No refunds, no returns. Because here at the Great American Fire Sale, everything's for sale. And you are the inventory. But don't worry, when they say we're cutting waste, they don't mean the billionaires' tax cuts. No, they mean your cancer treatments, your kids' school lunches, your shot at a decent life. So sit back, relax, watch them rob you blind, because when everything's sold out, guess what? You're next. But hey, at least the billionaires are doing just fine. Welcome to the land of the free for the billionaires and the home of the brave who pay for it all.
That's great. That's great. It is. It's kind of the moral of our times, for sure.
Yeah.
Put it.
I've got much. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Made for you to put it in Discord.
Okay. I have Discord. I have no clue what I do in Discord. I don't know how to use it.
One of our mods will reach out, Boxer. We got you.
Okay. I have some more serious ones that I've read on other things, but I just felt like a little satire needs to be shown.
I'm glad you. It's satire, but it's true at the same time.
Right?
I appreciate that, friend. I really do.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come up and
You got it.
keep fighting the fight for everybody. And oh, I have to tell you, my dad, he's a Vietnam vet, right?
Yeah.
And he's and I'm not saying this for anybody's I don't need sympathy, so to speak, okay? But he wanted me to tell people like you and other people that are doing this that he appreciates it. He's not going to be with us much longer. We're Agent Orange. So it's been very rough on him to think he's leaving this place for America. It's in a worse situation.
We're fighting for him.
So
he fought for us. We're fighting for him.
yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Was he said, he doesn't like you have that. He whispers. That's the tone of his voice. For now, and so he wanted me to get that message out to the people that are doing this because he doesn't have the voice that he once had. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Boxer, and send our love, please, and thank him for his service on our behalf. I appreciate you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can go ahead and get me to the curb.
You got it. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Another example, right? Another example of people that we fight for. Every single day, wherever you look, you can be fighting for somebody. Every day. Every day. There is no excuse. If it's not for yourself, like Victoria said earlier, fight for her, fight for Cece, fight for grandchildren, fight for granddaughters, fight for my daughter, fight for my boys who are trying to make a difference in the world by being different, stronger, caring, empathetic, understanding men who are trying to make a difference, who are calling out members of their communities. I'm going to send my boys some love and some adoration at the moment because I see them or they tell me about these spaces that they're in and how there's locker room talk all around. And my oldest was initially concerned about, didn't want to rustle the feathers and didn't want it to affect his job. He finally had enough and he spoke up and said, this is ridiculous. You can't be saying this shit. This is absolutely ridiculous. What you do at your home, I can't control, but here, I don't want to fucking hear your shit. And everybody got on board because he called it out. He's the youngest employee where he works, and he made a change because he called it out. That's what we want to see, right? That's what we want to see. We want to see people pushing back. Men, it's not good enough to not participate in locker room talk. You need to call it out. You need to say, that's unacceptable. It's not fucking funny. Don't do it again. Put yourself between harm and people who are being impacted. That's what we need to do. That's the difference, right? That's how you make a difference. In kindness and empathy is something that can grow, but it's not even just that now. That's one thing, right? It's also the challenge of the traitor to the patriarchy. It's pushing back against that kind of bullshit. Don't let them do it. Don't let them. It's unacceptable. Who's going to stand up if we don't, especially men, those of us with privilege? If we accept it, then it continues. If we don't say anything, then it perpetuates. And then everybody becomes red-pilled. Our country, our government now wants to pass laws that tell women, the women in our lives, the women that deserve our care, our respect, our kindness, our appreciation, our adoration, that they can't be treated for something medically unless we give them permission. That is fucking madness. Absolute madness. Is that your cause? Are women's rights your cause? Then let it be your cause. HR 7, read it. It's I want to go to a little. I'm not going to say it's humorous, but I think it's something that we should keep an eye on because Christy Noem, Christy who loves dogs, was recently interviewed. She's the Department of Homeland Security's secretary, cabinet position that she's unqualified for, because she is. She was interviewed by Dana Bash on CNN recently, and the the oops moment, I think, is interesting, and I appreciate Dana Bash for calling it out like she did. So this is the oops moment.
I remember a time when Republicans were very careful about and worried about the government, particularly unelected people.
We can't trust
having,
the government.
having access to
That's our
personal data.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You are the government.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, is that the American people now are saying that we have had our...
Let's do that again. I remember a time, this was the quote, I remember a time when Republicans were very careful about the government having access to personal data, to which Kristi Noem responds, well, we can't trust the government anymore. And then Dana Bash responds by saying, you are the government. Here it is again.
I remember a time when Republicans were very careful about and worried about the government, particularly unelected people.
We can't trust
having,
the government anymore.
having access to personal data.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You are the government.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, is that the American people now are saying that we have had our...
Right. I know it's low. It's the audio is really low. Again, that's an example, something to keep an eye on. American people can't trust the government. Well, you are the government. You are the government now. You're the government now. You're in charge. You're the one that's riding around with your cowboy hat. You're the one that's saying we got to lock up the brown people. She was just in Vermont recently, up at the Canadian border, talking about the massive influx of the F drug. By the way, the only win, the token win that Trump got in the tariff battle with Canada the first time was that Justin Trudeau agreed to appoint an F czar, an F drug czar. He got dog walked by both Claudia Sheinbaum, who I friggin' love you, President Sheinbaum, and Justin Trudeau. Because Donald Trump is a pathetic, weak narcissist. And he is an idiot. He is a fool. He's a Nazi. He is a fascist. And anybody that thinks that he has the wherewithal to be anywhere close to the button, the red button, not going there, is fooling themselves. I want to play some audio that I played earlier today, that in case those of you that weren't here, if you guys recall when, let's see if I can find it. There was this famous speech that he made in regards to the lies that were told about the $50 million in condoms that were sent to Gaza. So this is what he said about that, and I have a retort to that.
We are merely looking at parts of the big bureaucracy where there has been tremendous waste and fraud and abuse. In that process, we identified and stopped $50 million being sent to Gaza to buy condoms for Hamas. 50 million. And you know what's happened to them? They've used them as a method of making bombs. How about that?
Sorry, I'll crank it up. So the $50 million lie, right, that was told, that the claim was that $50 million of condoms are being sent to Hamas, and it was a lie. And we know it was a lie because Elon was then asked about that, and this is what he had to say.
Serious, funny.
Mr. Musk, you said on X that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact check this, it apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean,
some of the things I say will be incorrect. Nobody's going to bat 1,000. Donald Trump, the twice impeached, four-time indicted, sexually abusing, fraudster, convicted felon, fascist Nazi, went in front of the American public and said, $50 million in condoms are being sent to Hamas for bomb building. And then Elon, standing in the Oval Office, next to the Resolute desk, says, yeah, not everything I say is going to be correct, but I'll be transparent, which would then mean in the same sentence said that I will correct myself, which he doesn't. By the way, the Senate is currently voting for Tulsi Gabbard's confirmation. Tulsi Gabbard, who is an asset, a Russian asset. Tulsi Gabbard, who was on a TSA watch list. Tulsi Gabbard, who every intelligence agency around the world would not want her anywhere near their intelligence service. And she's being voted on to be the next director of the National Defense Agency in our country. And she will probably get confirmed. She will probably get confirmed. I don't even know what to say anymore about this, other than what we've talked about this morning, right? Mods, I do have to wrap. I just got a little bit of an emergency capitalism request, so I got to deal with that. But listen, everybody, I don't want this to always be every single day. You know, we talk about these things, and I have a plan going into the show, and I spend a couple of hours every day, prepping for the show. Sometimes I'm not prepping all night. My mod team does an incredible amount of work, keeping me informed, making me look good, which ain't easy. And then we have other groups of people that are doing research and compiling information so that we can share this stuff with you because it's important. And we're going to do it every single day, as long as we can, right? As long as we can, for as hard as we can, we will do this. We'll do this, right? I would just ask that you continue to support us by subscribing, by considering contributing to the gifting goals, by contributing to the pay apps, because this is something that's important. You know, I've made a decision to do this, and I will continue to do it, and I will continue to fight. For those of you who are here that are frustrated and concerned and feeling sad, I'm not going to say I'm sorry. What I'm going to say is, yeah, we're all feeling sad. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to get angry? Are you gonna make a difference? Are you gonna take the advice of the people that are up here by going to school board meetings, by volunteering in your community, by helping a neighbor, by paying attention to these kinds of things, by pushing back on things that you see and hear, by not accepting locker room talk, by defending the people that you care about 10 fucking toes down, not talking a good game? But exactly, Eve, be livid. Be fucking livid. Be angry. Be on Team Angry. Pick up a shirt in the merch store and get one. Be angry. If you expect somebody else to do it for you, they're not. It's on us. Don't accept it anymore. Don't just think it's going to go away. It's not going to go away unless we stop it. I would like every single one of you that's in here. I have 107,000 followers. Whatever that number is, the 1,000 or so people that join us every single day, to find out what's going on in those two special elections in Florida, District 1, District 6, Gay Valamont, Josh Wheel, respectively. Find out what you can do to help. Every single one of you. Every one of you. There's no reason you can't. Go to nationalgroundgame.com. You'll find the information in the link tree in my bio. Sign up, get involved, volunteer, and that's what I'm asking. If you want to help me, that's how you can do it. I love you, friends. We're going to go and raid our friend USMC Matt. I think he's live, right, guys? He's not actually. So we're going to raid Zeus. Go say hi to our friend Zeus, okay? Zeus is also somebody who's been calling out Nazis forever, and he's great. So tell him we said hi. Everybody knows Zeus. Please go over there and allow him to kind of offer his perspective on things as a black man in America. We are in this fight together, friends, and no more excuses. Mods, thank you guys.